I would have to say that if they needed Princess Leia for another Star Wars movie, they should get Melissa Gilbert instead of faking Carrie Fisher.
Oh, Melissa Gilbert.
Yeah. Doesn't she look a lot like Carrie Fisher? At the
Yes.
same age?
Yes, we believe it's a very.
I see it.
Toshiba Copy Equipment's local support, more value. Call 920-991-9822. James Imaging Systems, your local document imaging partner.
When you think of having to undertake a construction project, do you think, well, maybe we can't say on the radio what you
Alright, we'll move this so I can see you. I don't know what I'm going to do with 4 people in the studio. I'm probably going to have to stand.
We know a construction project can sometimes be frustrating, but it doesn't have to be. At Appleton, we work to remove that frustration.
Dave left me no pen.
Not your adversary, or manage your project
You're
for you, freeing you from the stress and working on your behalf. You like having a partner, you'll like Hoffman. We're building a better way for you.
Remodeling or building? It's time to get Omni Glass and Paint in Krause Co. Omni serves people throughout the Fox Valley, offering a wide variety of residential glass products and services, including windows, shower doors, and entry doors. Homeowners and contractors can see the products firsthand in Omni's residential showroom, featuring Anderson, Colby, and Thermatrude products. Visit OmniGP.com, stop into the showroom, or call 920-233-3333 for a free quote. Omni Glass and Paint. Quality people, quality products, quality service.
Get your tickets now for the
Catherine, do we have you on the zip drive? Hello, Catherine? Catherine, hello?
The Four Seasons are the only tribute dedicated to recreating the music of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. This tribute features hits including Sherry, If You'll Still Cry, Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, and many more. Get your tickets now for the Four Seasons this Saturday at 7:30 at the Grand Oshkosh. Don't miss this terrific musical experience. Go to thegrandoshkosh.org now.
WHBY, this is Jonathan. Hey, Catherine. I was just checking to see if you're on the zip and you weren't, so I figured you'd be calling. Alright, we're going in about a minute. Hang on.
So be sure to visit your neighbors locally at
Ace Hardware of Appleton.
As a man once sitting on top of about 1 million pounds of explosives once said, let's light this candle.
Let's do this.
Welcome to Krause Company here on WHBY. I'm Jonathan Krause, and thanks for joining us on today's show. The other voice you hear is that of Tommy Clifford. It's Tuesdays with Tommy making its return here on Krause Company.
So good to be back. So good to be back. The story time is going to be long and it's going to flow.
Yeah, the 9 o'clock hour, Tommy's going to tell us about a couple of experiences that are, let's just say, the headlines, and for that, as usual on Tuesdays, we turn to the folks from Action 2 News this morning, and this week it's Catherine Bracho's turn to join us on WHBY. Catherine, good morning. You're a mom. Was there anything special for Mother's Day before we get into the news? Aww. Okay, good. So let's get into what happened last night and give us some idea of what you are hearing in terms of storm damage around the area. speaking of the First Alert Weather app, I'm looking at it here, and Steve starts putting in the chance for thunderstorms starting at about 3 o'clock this afternoon, going all the way until 10 o'clock tonight. The best chance, though, it looks like right at drive time, 4 until 6. So that'll make it exciting. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on it as well, along with Steve there at the First Alert Weather Center. Moving on, huge fire in Marinette County yesterday. Give us the latest on that. Any indication as to what caused that fire? I think a lot of people, they see the junkyards, as we used to call them back in the day, these salvage yards now. You drive by and you think, oh, it's just a bunch of old cars, but a lot of them still have very flammable materials inside them yet that haven't been stripped. Yeah, and I'm guessing some toxic stuff in them as well that when it burns is released. So, yep. So let's wrap up this chat here. Inside the Headlines brought to you by Settlers Bank. And Brett Favre is being sued by the state of Mississippi. If you could, what are the details here? What led to this lawsuit? Yeah, these are all civil lawsuits going on right now. Something that was interesting, one of the co-defendants is the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase of World Wrestling Federation fame. Yeah. And the amount that Favre owes is interest. His claim is that, hey, I paid back the money and I really shouldn't have to be paying back the interest as well, is what I've seen in a number of reports. But the state disagrees on that. And then the concussion drug company, that was kind of a very complicated thing where I don't think Brett had direct investment in that company. Is that right? He just basically was like their paid spokesman. Absolutely. We'll see if it tarnishes his legacy at all either. Catherine, I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us to go inside the headlines today on Krause Company. You bet. Catherine is on every morning on Action 2 News this morning, starting at, I believe, 4:30 a.m. They even get an earlier start than we do here with AM Fox Valley at 5 a.m.
That's
at
early.
WHBY.
Ooh.
But
Too
think of how
early.
early she's done in the day. She probably wraps up this call and goes home.
That's right. Gets a little nap time. You never have naps. I'm sure she's got little people to take care of.
Well,
Her
little
day-
people are in school at this time of day, so.
True. That's an early morning though. That's, whew, my.
I actually took a nap on Sunday. I was a prolific napper because I did morning radio for decades. And you cannot exist getting up that early without taking a nap in the afternoon
Naps are
if
the
you
best
want to
thing
live
ever.
some kind of life.
I love naps. I think could be a professional napper. Get paid to do that. I bet you there are people who get paid to do naps.
For research purposes, yes.
Or like you have to like check out this couch.
Yeah, or mattresses. We have a mattress commercial going on right behind you there.
That's right, professional mattress tester.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, naps. I love naps. Naps when it's raining. Like last night when it was pouring, though those cracks, holy cow, there was some thunder. Ooh, rocked my teeth.
Yeah, it wasn't that heavy in the Oshkosh area last night, but where you were in Appleton, obviously a little more. And as Catherine described, we had some tree damage and power is knocked out as well in the area. But worse stuff is on the way here today, and hopefully we get missed on that. But we'll be here keeping an eye on it for you all afternoon here on WHBY. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Bucks' disappointing loss last night to the Boston Celtics, giving up home court advantage in their conference semifinal series against the Celts.
Most homeowners never really think about the sewer line servicing their home. Then out of nowhere,
So because they lost, they don't get home court advantage if they move on. Is that what that is about?
Well, they wouldn't have it. They didn't have it to begin with in the series, but then they won in Boston, so the majority of the games were now going to be in Milwaukee. But then they just set away by losing last night.
The beauty of your landscaping and have the tools to offer no dig sewer line repair options. Call today for our free estimate.
So what's the name of this song that I'm supposed to research that has the super clean lyrics?
Caroline by
With all the used cars and trucks
Amina.
that you sell, Krause must be doing a lot of things right.
It all starts with a great selection of quality vehicles, and it's more than just used and certified Toyotas. We keep the best used Chevy, Ford, Honda, Nissan, and others. Colosso Toyota is a name you
I
can
heard I
trust
done
that
got
you
you a
can buy
dime
with
piece.
confidence.
Okay.
And the best new cars make the best used cars. Your certified Toyotas are all warranted for a total of 7 years or 100,000 miles, including roadside assistance.
We stock the best used cars, trucks, and sport utilities. We have financing available on select certified vehicles, and that draws people from all over the state.
And like my dad always said, if you don't know the car, you better trust the seller.
That's how our family's been able
So,
to sell and service so many cars and trucks for over 70 years. We're Colosso Toyota Scion.
Something popped up in my Facebook feed over the weekend, and it was coffee mugs featuring misheard lyrics. And there was one in there that says, was, "Who rule the world? Squirrels."
With one poem,
I'm
you
like,
can start seeing your
I don't know
future
that
more
song.
clearly. If your financial
So
picture is
I
cloudy
did a
because
little
you're
Google
getting
search.
conflicting
It
tax
turns out that
and
it's
investment
Girls
estate
by
planning
Beyonce.
advice, help is
Really?
available or a
And
click away. Annex
of
will
course, it
find
had
ways
the
to
lyrics
get your investment
along
plan
with
in
the
line with
title
your
of
tax
the
plan and your
song.
estate plan. Build
And
confidence with one
it says the
team
same
helping
thing
create
over
one
and
comprehensive
over
plan
about
as
25
one
consecutive
fiduciary.
times.
Annex
then it's got a lyric, and then it says the same thing about 25 times. Then it's got a lyric, and then 25 times wrapping up the song. It took 9 people to write that song. 9 songwriting credits on that. And I'm like, what in the hell?
There's a comedian that has like he's known for like
Yeah, he's got the little tape recorder that he plays. That guy's hilarious.
oh gosh, the car song,
me
pork pie. That's right, pork pie.
Yep.
Because now you can't hear the song without it. Now you cannot unhear it. He does a really great job, and he's got his hustle down. Pork pie.
But you may have more cash than you realize in your home's equity.
Ooh, there you go, the barbecue showdown.
Yep,
Be
they're
there.
doing it all week. They're just torturing me.
In the last year, average home values have gone up nearly 20%. That means you could unlock thousands of dollars from your home. And with Rocket Mortgage, you could get all that cash in as little as 3 weeks. Put your hard-earned money to work. Pay down high-interest debt and combine your balances into one simple, low monthly payment. Now is your perfect opportunity to take control of your financial future. So what are you waiting for? When you want to consolidate debt and simplify
Okay, the song is not good at all.
No.
As soon as I hit the knee pad part, I
Yep.
Or go to rocketmortgage.com to get started.
But
That's 833-8
16-year-old girls were just singing along.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and unless consumeraccess.org over 3030. Call 800-490-1233 for disclosures and cost information.
Not a good church dance song, that's for sure.
Support local business and save money with WHBY's Big Deals. Head to WHBY.com, click the Big Deals link, and buy gift cards and certificates up to 30% off. Shop gift certificates for Trisha's Treasures, House of Homebrew, Sapphire Moon Chocolates, The Cellar, The Revival Boutique, and more. Save local and save money with WHBY's Big Deals. Jonathan Krause with you today on Krause & Company, and it's Tuesdays with Tommy. He's back from his trip to Dallas, which will lead to one of the outrageous stories that we'll be hearing about in the 9 o'clock hour.
Oh boy. Buckle in, that's all I gotta say. This is, you wouldn't believe it unless I told you. And
You're about to tell us.
And I have the police report to prove it. That's the whole thing. I have the police report to prove it.
Those are the best stories that involve police reports.
Oh man.
And also multiple media outlets reporting as well. That makes it an even better story. So, and I don't know if we should be laughing, really, but you need to tune in to hear some of these stories that Tommy will have.
I want to know about the multiple media outlets, so there must be more to this than I even know.
Well, no, I'm saying that if you had a story that included references to multiple media
that's
outlets,
true.
that makes it an even better story.
This is so delicious. Oh my gosh.
So last night was a very bad, no good night for Wisconsin sports fans, as the Milwaukee Bucks lose at home to the Boston Celtics 116-108 in Game 4.
Got punished.
Eastern Conference semifinals. What was most disappointing for Bucks fans, I'm sure, is the fact that they had a 12-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. And then Al Horford, who is, I believe, 34 years old, just went off with a career playoff high. And they just, for some reason, refused to cover him.
Oh boy.
So he's just making shots all over the floor. Which, to me, again, shows that Mike Budenholzer, the Bucks coach, is one of the worst in the league when it comes to in-game adjustments. If they come in with a strategy and the strategy works, all right, Bucks are going to win. If it doesn't, well, then it's going to be a struggle all night. And last night it was a struggle. And then, on top of that, the Brewers lose to the horrid Cincinnati Reds 10-5 as Brandon Woodruff could not get anybody out in the fourth inning.
Ooh, 10-5. That's another spanking.
So that's the 5th win on the year for the Reds. They're 5-20.
Oh, geez Louise.
They're a brutally bad baseball team. Brewers swept them in 3 straight just last week at American Family Field. So they're coming in all confident, oh man, we're just going to beat these guys into the ground. And then they blow a lead and lose in impressive fashion.
You did good with the stadium name. You had to consciously think about that, didn't you?
My
muscle memory is hard.
My goal was to go through the entire season without messing up and calling it Miller Park. And then, of course, 2 games into the season, I called it Miller Park. I started saying Miller and then caught myself, but it was too late.
Well, the muscle memory, it's hard. It's very hard to try to say, I'm going to break that. And no disrespect to American family, but it's very hard to break that. Everybody, there's plenty of people who are still gonna call it Miller Park for years and years and years down the road.
There are people who will go on social media and will rant and rave about how it will always be Miller Park and it'll never be AmFam Field. And the thing they seem to forget is that, yes, there is still a Miller Brewery in Milwaukee, but Miller corporate offices are gone.
Correct. Miller has no ties to Wisconsin anymore.
It's a Chicago company now.
It's done.
Coors isn't a Denver company anymore. They moved their operations with Miller to Chicago.
And it was a business decision that people just need to think it was personal. It's not personal. It's a business decision. They thought they could spend their money better someplace else. No problem. It is what it is, and you just need to move on. But American family, it's kind of like the neurocenter. I can't even say it. Timber Rattler Stadium.
Yeah.
Timber Rattler Stadium. That doesn't go off the tongue as quick as Timber Rattler Stadium.
That's pretty much what everyone calls it, T-Rad Stadium. So it makes you wonder about the value of naming rights for stadiums. But the everyone needs to keep in mind that the stadium was not named in honor of Frederick Miller.
No.
Miller. Was it Miller SAB at that time, or was it Miller Coors?
Probably
I can't even
humongous
remember
dollars.
now.
I mean, it had to have been
Yeah.
millions and millions and millions
Yeah,
of dollars.
and they decided, we don't want to do this anymore.
Correct.
And
We're supposed to move on.
AmFam, an actual Wisconsin company based in Madison,
Correct.
said, "Hey, we'll gladly put our name on there." They were making reference to it on the last homestand that they still don't have a brand on the restaurant in the stadium. It is still the stadium to be named later because TGI Fridays dropped off.
Interesting.
So it's still the restaurant to be named later. And they were making fun of that. Yeah, eventually it'll get a new name, I'm sure. But that's the way it works nowadays.
That is the way it
Sport.
works with corporate, and stadiums don't stay the same name for very long. In Utah, they had the Delta Center. Now it's named something else. It's just stadiums go through changes all the time.
Well, I don't think Delta can afford to put its name on it anymore.
Probably not.
That's an airline that's struggling, as we like to say. Now, the Packers have painted themselves into a corner here because there is no way they're ever going to be able to take Lambeau off of the stadium. They just cannot sell naming rights. They sold it to the Gates.
That's true.
And
Can you imagine the revolt if they changed the name of Lambeau Field?
there I can see public outrage
Oh, absolutely.
because no one
Absolutely.
paid to put Curly Lambeau's name on the stadium.
No. I mean that's kind of like desecrating a grave. It's like that's a shrine. That's like saying, here is the, whatever happens to be Vatican. You can't name. That's a shrine. That's something holy. That's a spiritual place for people. Putting somebody's name on it, other than Lambeau Field. Oh boy.
There's a handful of teams that have gone that route. Cleveland, when they built their new stadium on the lake, they called it Paul Brown Stadium. Or excuse me, Cincinnati did that. Paul Brown Stadium is the one on the huge mistake. Because now, how do you take the guy's name off the stadium
You can't.
to put, Synergy or Integris or any of the silly made up names that we have for stuff now for companies?
FedEx Field. Yeah, you can't. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. Dallas, you have AT&T Stadium. That's AT&T country. They have this huge experience area, and
But again, AT&T paid to put that name on there.
correct, huge, humongous money.
Jimmy Jones didn't call up and say, "Hey, I like my phone service so much, I'm going to put your name on the stadium for free."
That is correct. Here's the community service aspect of it died. There's no community service as far as that goes.
And the best part is the teams who get the publicly funded stadiums, they keep all the naming rights revenue.
I wonder how that'll be in Buffalo with the new Buffalo Bills Stadium.
Oh, that'll be sold off, guaranteed.
Of course it will. Well,
Although
that rubs some people raw.
They actually took a name off the stadium. Ralph Wilson, that used to be that stadium. Then it became New Era Stadium because the Cap Company wanted to sponsor it.
Right.
And then the Cap Company didn't want to sponsor it anymore, and they didn't have anyone's name to put on there. So now what do you do?
Yeah.
The stadium.
Now you're in a pinch. The stadium that will not be named.
Let's take a break. When we come back, Tommy's going to tell some tales. That's after the top of the hour break. And then in the 10 o'clock hour, it's Mike and Manny making a return to this time segment. Mike Waters, Manny Vasquez. We'll talk about the local economy, housing market, all that kind of stuff. And as you might expect, it is oogle out there, not to mention gas prices too. That's all coming up on Krause Co. here on HBY.
Want a mower that's tough enough to break all the rules? Want everything without sacrificing anything? Want performance for the long haul at an unbeatable price? The perfect balance of power and performance? A Bad Boy mower. Packed with power, muscle, simplicity, and comfort the pro in you demands. It's that time of year. It's your time. You deserve a Bad Boy. Fox Valley Truck in Appleton and Shawano. Check out our full lineup of stock online at foxvalleytruck.com. Oh, with an attitude.
There was one other
WHBY
internet thing I wanted to talk about today as well.
The race
it's,
for Wisconsin's governor.
Subscription vacations.
With their name on
What?
Nor the establishment.
Where
they failed us for decades.
you subscribe to music and movies. Why not your travel? New services target frequent travelers, luxury lovers, bargain shoppers, and even Tesla fans.
It's about Kevin Nicholson, one of us.
Special access, streamlined planning, different ways to pay for a subscription plan, though they often involve an annual or monthly fee. They call themselves memberships, clubs, or subscriptions. So it's like a timeshare, except
imagine what he can do.
All their different destinations, and it's not a specific
Kevin Nicholson
physical property they can stay on.
Conservatives, rise up. We have a leader.
Interesting.
Fighting for Wisconsin is responsible for the content of this advertising. Paid for by Fighting for Wisconsin, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Whatever temperatures this summer brings, your friendly and knowledgeable Bryant dealer is ready to help. Your dealer is committed to achieving a high level of training and skills, and backed by outstanding products from one of the industry's most trusted names. Whatever your cooling needs, your local Bryant dealer will do whatever it takes for your family's comfort.
Bryant is a proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. Contact the
Scott's
experts
Cheap
at
Flights will send you
1-800
flight deals of 40 to
Bryant.com.
90% off to subscribers who pay $50 a year. A fee that is often made up on one booking, and fans say saves substantial search time. Alaska Airlines' new flight pass charges $50 a month at the entry level, entitling the subscribers to 6 round-trip flights a year. Those $98 trips reflect discounts of 20 to 30% on average. The pass targets travelers in California with flights to 13 destinations within the state, plus Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Reno. TripAdvisor Plus launched for $100 a year, getting discounted hotel rates on roughly 300,000 properties and 10% off theme parks and activities, including tours booked through TripAdvisor.
So basically, they're hoping people will buy it and forget about it.
Well, that's all subscriptions. That kept newspapers in business for decades.
Just don't be that, was it United Airlines or American Airlines did the unlimited flight pass for like $200,000 and then had to actually ban people because they were using it so much and they lost so much money on unlimited first class travel anywhere you want to go. People were like getting on a plane, flying to Europe for dinner, then flying home, that kind of stuff.
Stock investors are looking at a slightly positive opening, staving off a bear market for the broad S&P 500 index at least for another day, or maybe another morning.
President Biden's expected to highlight plans to bring down inflation and prices later today. A day after police caught up with an escaped murder suspect and a corrections official from Alabama, questions remain. Deputy U.S. Marshal Chad Hunt.
Casey quickly surrendered, and his immediate words to our team was, please help my wife. She just shot herself in the head.
Police are investigating whether the two got married during their 10 days on the run. Officer Vicky White died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound after the duo were tracked down in Evansville, Indiana. Ukrainian officials say Russian troops are pounding the vital port city of Odessa to try to disrupt supply lines and weapons shipments. The head of the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency says Russia is now resorting to indiscriminate and brutal tactics in response to Ukrainian resistance. A famous figure conspicuously absent in the UK today.
I'm Vicky Barker in London. Fanfare for the Queen's speech delivered as it is every year to members of Britain's Parliament.
My lord, pray be seated.
But this year delivered by son and heir Prince Charles. Palace aides say the Queen's intermittent mobility issues forced today's royal no-show.
The Queen is 96 now. An NFL star planning to trade his pigskin for a microphone after he retires. Fox says Tom Brady will become a lead analyst for the network. Know when that'll be. 44-year-old unretired during the off-season. This is CBS News.
There's always something new under the sun. CBS Mornings, weekdays on CBS.
From the kennel to the coop, whatever the season, Fleet Farm has everything to keep your animals happy and healthy. From training your pup to sit season, to mastering those retrieval skills season. From clipping your horse for competition season, to keeping the backyard birds well-fed season. And of course, loving your pets like family season. There's a reason people say, if Fleet Farm doesn't have it, you don't need it. Because we have it all. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
Celebrate May Beef Month with Neiman's Southside Market and WHBY. It's your chance to win a quarter cow cuts of beef to stock your freezer.
Wow, it's impressive.
Head to WHBY.com and go cow tipping for your chance to win. The moo cow will be grazing its way across WHBY.com, moving from page to page. Check back daily to enter for more chances to win. It's time to go cow tipping with Neiman's Southside Market and WHBY.
Here's the latest from the WHBY Omni Glass and Paint News Center. This morning at 9:04, it's cloudy with hazy sunshine and 67. With WHBY News, I'm Terry Glory. High winds and thunderstorms moved through our area overnight. That led to damage of at least one home and multiple power outages. A Fox Crossing home sustained damage when high winds toppled a tree onto the building. No one was injured in that incident. We Energies also reports about 5,000 homes and businesses west of the Fox Valley were without power overnight. Electricity has been restored to the majority of those customers. A Green Bay woman accused of killing and dismembering a man will be back in Brown County Court today. The results of a second psychological exam on Taylor Shabiznes will be shared with the court. Shabiznes' attorney believes she's not mentally competent to stand trial on charges of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault.
So,
allegedly murdered
poor
before cutting up his body
Kristen,
and hiding the parts in the basement of his home back in February. She faced life
Kristen,
in prison if convicted.
for the longest time, she had the typical morning news field reporter gig where it was go to the Children's Museum and talk about great ideas for kids to do on vacation or stuff like that. Menu Cook is coming up this weekend, and I'm joined by someone who's just made their food, and here we are, we're eating it. Their new news director wants her to go to the scene of their top story and report live there in the morning, even though nothing's going on. And it's all outside stand-up stuff. So she's out there freezing her ass off.
Not good.
2 weeks prior to last Sunday's incident, police charged Reynolds with pointing a firearm at a person. Judge ordered a psychological exam for Reynolds. Your first alert forecast from Action 2 News is just ahead. WHBY News is sponsored by Hooper Law Office.
Do you want to protect your family? Do you want to maintain control of your health and finances? Join the attorneys at Hooper Law Office in person for their popular Wills versus Trust seminar. This seminar gives participants the opportunity to ask questions and learn about the aspects of estate planning and long-term care planning that they're most interested in. The next session will take place in person at 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Wednesday, May 11th at the Neville Public Museum, located at 210 Museum Place in Green Bay. Registrants can attend either session. Register at estateplanningreenbay.com. Seating is limited, so you'll want to RSVP right away. Registered participants will receive complimentary educational materials and have an opportunity to ask questions during the session. You'll also receive a free copy of their books, Your Life, Your Legacy, The Fundamentals of Effective Estate Planning, and Your Life, Your Legacy, Nursing Homes and Long-Term Care. Register for the in-person session on May 11th at 2 p.m. or 6 p.m. at estateplanningreenbay.com today.
Now, First Alert Weather on WHBY.
Today is a First Alert weather day. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds, warm and humid, a high of 79 degrees. And then this afternoon and early evening, scattered strong thunderstorms will be possible. They could have damaging winds, hail, heavy rainfall, even isolated tornadoes. Foggy late with a low of 56. From the WBAY First Alert Weather Center.
Thanks, Steve. Right now, mostly cloudy and 67 at the Myron Construction Studio at WHBY.
Master of Flooring. Our business is flooring
our business is people. I've said if I go through this life and all I do is change the color and texture of somebody's floor, I'll have failed, because we help people. That's what we've been about for 4 generations now. Luxury vinyl tile is in very much demand right now. I mean, my grandfather started the business in 1928, and when we think about painted linoleums versus what we have available to us today, it's just incredible. If you're stuck in getting started, we walk you through the planning and then the pricing, the sequencing for your job, so everything stays on calendar. When you feel comfortable with those products, everything is off and running. You feel real good about it. So we really cover from the very beginning of design to the best of installation that completes the job.
You're still doing the
We
lyrics?
invite you to visit our family.
Don't traumatize
showroom
yourself
at the
like
corner
that.
of East Wisconsin Avenue and Ballard Road in Appleton.
And certainly don't think about teenage girls singing along to all of this.
That's ridiculous. That's garbage.
Krause Company is brought to you by Hooper Law Office. Find their offices in Appleton, Green Bay, and Oshkosh, or online at hooperlawoffice.com. For your elder law and estate planning needs, Hooper Law Office, providing a pathway to your legacy. It's Tuesday with Tommy here on Krause Company. Tommy Clifford joining us after a quick sabbatical, a week down in Dallas. And we're going to get to some of the things you were doing down in Dallas coming up in our next segment. But as I mentioned, Tommy's got some stories to tell. And they're even beyond the stories that I was telling last week about the minor things going on in my life. These were hair-raising escapades that you were involved in. So let's start first off with what happened in your home a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my word. Okay. So I'm the father of 5. 3 of them are older. Some of them work graveyard shift. We've always had kind of a come and go policy. Whatever you need, just come. Laundry, whatever it happens to be, middle of the night. And some of them work 3rd shift, so could be coming in the house. Well, at 4:30 in the morning, we heard what we thought was our daughter, Clara, coming into the home. And she, so I live in a basement for main floor, 2nd floor home for frame of reference, and my son lives on the main floor. His bedroom's on the main floor. So this Clara, we'll use for right now, comes in and finds my son's room, my 12-year-old's room, and snuggles in bed with him. Not unlike what my daughter Clara would do. Okay, she wraps himself up in his comforter, gets in bed. She fell asleep immediately. The man upstairs was totally driving this bus, because as I tell this story, you're gonna hear lots of things go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So here's the first one. Drew said, oh, Clara is snoring. I'm gonna go play my Nintendo Switch out in the main room.
This is still 4:30 in the morning?
Correct.
Okay.
Which is not unlike him. He gets up early, goes to bed early, gets up early. So he's playing Minecraft on the couch at 4:30, 4:45 in the morning. And we're going to use the word Clara, decides to come upstairs. My daughter Emma was up, starting to get ready for her day. She has an early morning class, and so 5 o'clock, her light's on in her room. This person, who we know now, who we'll know in a moment, isn't Clara, comes to my doorway. My wife is sitting up, kind of talking back and forth with my daughter Clara or my daughter Emma, and this person in the doorway comes in and says, there's somebody downstairs with a gun, they're trying to kill me. And she gets in bed with me. Now, which was perfectly fine. She's wrapped up in a comforter, not unlike what my daughter would. And I thought it was my daughter Clara who had a tendency to sleepwalk. So I'm calm as a cucumber, okay. And then I noticed the nicotine smell on this person. I know it's not my daughter Clara, because she doesn't smoke. And I'm wearing nothing but a smile, so it's a little, just slightly awkward here.
Well, now this story really gets ugly.
Oh my gosh, so she's snuggled in bed, but she's wrapped up in a comforter, so she couldn't do anything. Couldn't do anything. And I remember the only time I ever raised my voice is I yelled, I said, who are you? And she told me her name was like Rachel or Rebecca or something. And I didn't know if it was a guy or a girl. I couldn't, the light wasn't very bright in the room. And she said it was a girl. I said, okay. So I get up, put my wife's pajama bottoms on, go downstairs. and I immediately see Drew sitting on the couch. Dad, did you see Clara? She's in my bed sleeping. I go, Drew, that's not Clara. Somebody's in the house. You need to get under the comforter and you need to play dead. So he got off the couch, immediately went on the floor under the comforter, still playing Minecraft. I don't think he missed a shot or a beat, and he's on the floor. Okay, that's fine. I go in his room, nobody there. I go and get a shirt on in my office, which is on the main floor, nobody there. I get my iPhone, didn't have my iPhone upstairs. I had it, light on, go down in the basement, said a tiny little prayer. I said, okay, man, okay, Heavenly Father, help me out on this one. And I mean, like a 3-second little thing, and I walked the rest of the house. Of course, the lights in the basement are off. I beat my kids to death. Please turn off the lights, please turn off the lights. And the time I wished that they didn't turn off the lights, they had. So it's pitch dark down there in the basement. Look around, nothing going on. Go up back onto the main floor. Drew, I'm going upstairs, stay where you're at. Okay. So by this time, I go back up onto floor 2. My sweetheart and Emma are in Emma's room, kind of huddled on the bed, texting their friends to call 911. Okay, I go back into my room. The person is still there. Rachel's still there. She's still in bed. She's still asleep. I get over to her and I say, there's no man downstairs. And she says, they're in the closet. They're trying to get me. You have to protect me. I said, okay, I'm going to call the protectors now. So I called dispatch. 911, nicest people in the world. I didn't know if my wife's contact had made yet, or the friends had made, so I called 911 and I told her what was going on. I said, you need to send the protectors. You must send protectors. And then she told me her name was Nikki, which turned out to be her real name. And I said, okay, the protectors are gonna be here. They're gonna be here soon. And she tried to she got a little bit combative, because I think she knew that the protectors weren't who she wanted to be as protectors. And dispatch was super nice. The protectors are on the way. I mean, she actually started talking the lingo so that she wouldn't agitate Nikki. And she started to get away from me, and I said, no, you're gonna stay here till these protectors. I called them, you're staying here till they get here. And then I heard Appleton police came in, and there was these 4 big gorilla guys. Holy cow, they were just amazing. And she goes bolting down the stairs from floor 2 to floor 1, met down with 4 of Appleton's finest. They wasted no time. Hip check, face on the cover, gold cufflinks, goodbye. She was out the door. I mean, really almost happened that quickly. And then the police came back in, and they went room by room with their guns drawn. Appleton police, come out with their hands up, clear. And they asked me to stay over here. Becky had left the house with Drew, so Becky's in the garage in the pilot with the talking to people on the phone there, kind of getting a little help there. And police are going room by room, yelling, clear, clear. And 5 minutes later, they'd swept the house. 2 of the gentlemen took Nikki to the hospital to get the help she needed, and the other 2 kind of stayed to do one last case of the house, take some notes, and about 25 minutes after it started, it was over. And by 6:15, I was kind of staring at myself and going, what just happened? And there you go. That's the story. Ridiculous.
So initially, I'm guessing you were probably running on adrenaline, stranger in the house.
Absolutely.
And then you finally had a chance to reflect on it after everybody had finally left.
Oh yeah. There's been emotions up and down the seaboard. Tears, happiness. You play the thing over and over in your mind. Of course, you say, "Well, I could have done this differently." And yes, and then I had a 7 o'clock showing for a home. I had a final walkthrough with a great couple. So I met them at the door, and they go, something's wrong. I go, yeah, let me tell you what happened. As we're walking into their home, and I told this story. She goes, that's unbelievable. I go, it happened. It really. And I got the police report. I got the police number and the police have checked up on us. There's a victim services has checked up on us. It's really remarkable, the support network that has come to, that's there on our behalf, which I'm very thankful for. So thank you, Appleton, and the wonderful way you handled this.
So let's talk about the impact this is having on your family. How does everybody feel about the house?
thankfully, everybody still feels safe in the house. Now, there is about $700 worth of camera equipment, video doorbells. We've got a new digital lock on the door. We no longer, that automatically locks. So as soon as the door closes, it's automatically locked. You can't leave it unlocked. The family is doing okay. Emma never actually saw the perpetrator. So it's like a badge of courage for her, kind of like a scar. Oh my gosh, this happened. Everybody, I gotta show you. Drew a little subdued. There's some nightmares. There's some, needs to talk to some people through the process. My sweetheart, kind of a similar situation. I'm doing okay, but wow. I just kind of sit back and go, wow, this could have gone. The arresting police officer came back that night and he made a comment. He said, I've played this scenario back in my mind many times, and there's 1,000 different ways this could have ended, and only one way, the most positive way, did it end. He said this could have gone so bad in so many different ways.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm just thankful. I am thankful. I am blessed. I hope this person, the DA's called me, charges, all kinds of different stuff, and I don't want to dogpile on her. I want to get her out of the system and help. And I don't know how to help, but I guess just bringing awareness to the fact that, lock your damn doors. We've always had our door unlocked. If the kids want to do laundry, whatever, now they just got to call me, Dad, what's the code to the door? So I get it. My door was unlocked. I asked for it. And I'm thankful that she felt safe enough to come into our home. I know it seems goofy, but she did. She felt it was a safe haven. Obviously, she didn't belong there, but she did feel safe. And now I hope she gets the help she needs.
Okay. You handled it far differently than I would have.
I know.
I have baseball bats and golf clubs in the house.
Everybody.
And there probably would have been physical violence.
I know, and I think to myself, well, what if I had had a firearm in the home? Would that have made, no, that wouldn't have made a difference. I wouldn't have used it. I might have taken it downstairs with me when I walked through the house, but I never felt threatened whatsoever. I was always calm. A little prayer downstairs helped, and I just knew that everything was going to be fine, and it just kind of was a nurturing attitude. I want to take care of this person. I mean, sure, they violated the house, they're inside, the whole 9 yards, I get it. But at the end of the day, I just wanted it to have a happy ending, and so far it has. So far it really, really has. I'm thankful for Appleton Police and coming and mopping up that mess pretty quickly, and for the counselors at school and my sweetheart for the way they've dealt with it. But I realize so many different ways. The scenarios that I play in my mind that I'm playing right now, sometimes I'll have scenarios and I'll see the person's face and they'll come towards me, and how I handle the situation is different, but it always comes back to the happy ending. So I want to focus on that.
All right. Now, believe it or not, that's not even the worst of the two stories that you're going to tell us.
No, it's really not. It's not.
So we're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Story Time with Tommy here on Krause Company on WHBY.
Or not, you are a media consuming machine. Chased all day by headlines, texts.
It could have gone so wrong.
There would have been immediate violence.
The phone,
It could have gone.
smartwatch, news about market volatility. And
Well, the police officer told us that we could have walked in here and found a dead body, and
Americans report
and it would have been justified. I mean, that's what they said. And I said, well, that's not really my MO. And he said, well,
take action. Put Annex Wealth Management on your side.
And I was always told that if someone comes breaks into your house, you want to make sure there's only one side of the story.
Investment and retirement guidance that includes tax and estate planning. Let Annex do a deep dive on your portfolio. Offer unbiased advice with WealthMetric and work to create a solid plan for you and your family. Turn down the media roar. Dial
Now I can tell you exactly when the mail gets delivered, when anyone goes to the back door.
It only takes a couple
Let me see what's
of
going
minutes.
on in my house right now.
Online. It's time to take action and know the difference with a fee-only fiduciary. That's Annex Wealth Management. AnnexWealth.com.
Let Carrier provide quiet, efficient cooling all summer with innovative solutions for premium comfort. And for a healthier home, add the Infinity Air Purifier with an advanced filter that can capture and kill select viruses and bacteria. Learn the science and its impact on coronavirus at carrier.com/.
You know what?
Carrier is a proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics.
I have.
Contact the experts at 1-800-CARRIER.
Yes, and I forgot to write in my book.
or carrier.com.
This is embarrassing.
These days, it's getting harder and harder to find
We may be
savings.
delaying your story.
But you may have more cash than you realize in your home's equity. Unlock it today with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage. In the last year, average home values have gone up nearly 20%. That means you could unlock thousands of dollars from your home. And with Rocket Mortgage, you could get all that cash in as little as 3 weeks. Put your hard-earned money to work. Pay down high-interest debt and combine your balances into one simple, low monthly payment. Now is your perfect opportunity to take control of your financial future. So what are you waiting for? When you want to consolidate debt and simplify your finances, Rocket can. Call 8338-ROCKET today or go to rocketmortgage.com to get started. That's 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cross information and conditions. Equal housing lender license in all 50 states and unlessconsumeraccess.org number 3030. Call 800-490-1233 for disclosures and cost information.
The race for Wisconsin's governor ain't about the donor class with their name on trucks or the establishment. Man,
Well, that, at least they have the video screens up that you can watch.
This is about the ones.
All right, we need an extra chair, I believe.
Hold on, we got one in that corner
All right.
there.
This is Tommy Clifford,
How
my
are you
guest
guys?
co-host today.
Great, how are you? Excellent.
This is Dave and Sue. They're with the line.
Sue, how are you? Pleasure, pleasure.
Come on in.
Dave and Sue Lee.
He started and ran no better firm, the most effective conservative
Have a chair here for you.
the state has ever seen. Now, imagine what he can do running your state. The politics here is a mess. Kevin Nicholson's the one to fix it. Conservatives rise up. We have a leader.
Fighting for Wisconsin is responsible for the content of this advertising. Or by Fighting for Wisconsin, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Looking for a great night of entertainment?
All right, this is where I think it's
Date
awkward.
family outing? Hi, this is Jan from the
Because I
Country
can't
in
see
Green Bay.
everybody because of my
Inviting
video
you to join
screens.
us for an amazing
All
night
right,
of
so
musical
this is going to be your
comedy.
mic,
Joy is a
Dave. All right, so
non-profit
this is
music
your mic.
venue that hosts entertainment that inspires every weekend. We're located at 525 North Taylor Street on the west side of Green Bay, right off Highway 41. Find the full listing of shows at cupojoy.com.
So much 30 seconds here.
I tried finding your email.
For those of you who've been left in the office by the gigantic tidal wave that has been called the Great Resignation, this is specifically 33 million Americans have quit their jobs since the spring of 2021. And so, there's a whole lot of people. If 33 million people have left, well, there's so many more millions that haven't left. What do you do? And that's what I want to focus on, because there is an opportunity.
The Ken Coleman Show, weekdays at 4 on WHB1.
Everybody's mic is going to be on. This should be good. This is the first time I've had this many people in the studio.
It's crowded.
Welcome back to Krause and Company here on WHBY. Jonathan Krause with you. Tommy Clifford is our guest co-host today, and we're giving Tommy a chance to recover from the previous story that he told.
Oh man, brutal.
And coming up in a couple of segments here, we're going to hear from the second story that happened while down in Dallas. But first, we're joined in the Myron Construction Studio by Dave and Sue Lee, and they are with the Appleton Noon Lions Club. And thank you both for joining us here today on WHBY.
Good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Dave, you know what? I can turn on your mic over here, so hang on just a second. There we go. I forgot the way that this studio is wired. That microphone is picked up over there. So, you are in today to join us to let us know about a special celebration of your club and its history. How long have you guys been around?
Well, as of March 1st, we've been around for 100 years. Founded in 1922, chartered in March. Our charter banquet was May 1st, I believe. And it was a fun event. Irving Zelke had a cone speaker radio receiver, Magnavox. And this charter banquet was like 5 or 6 days after Milwaukee got its first radio station. And there was a part of the program was transmitted from Des Moines, Iowa, 300 miles away. Where they were, I think, roasting the charter members and just having a fun time. And Amazingly, the logo for Magnavox at that time was a lion's head coming out of a speaker cone. And looking back on it, it was so prophetic because Lions was being unleashed internationally. It was founded in 1917. Appleton was one of the original Wisconsin clubs, and Lions has grown astronomically since then.
All right. For those who aren't familiar, what exactly are Lions?
Lions is the largest service club in the world, and what we do is serve. Our motto is we serve. Where there's a need, there's a lion. We are now in how many different countries?
Over 200 countries and territories, 46,000 clubs, 1.4 million members, co-ed since 1987.
Okay. So you're rolling your eyes over there, but
right,
yeah.
Actually, they were co-ed in the very beginning, and then Melvin Jones came in and said, we're just male now. And they were businessmen who organized to actually, promote their own businesses. And Appleton had, 50 new members, 50 charter members. And they were all from different areas of business in the city. So, but there were no women at the beginning.
One of the neat things about Lions is it's all about service. And no debating religion, no debating politics. So it's a refuge site in that regard, especially in these days.
You guys have several of my old pairs of glasses.
That's right. Vision is one of our 5 focus areas. And the reason for that is in 1925, Helen Keller spoke to the International Convention. Was it international at that time already? Yes. And she asked the Lions to be her Knights for the Blind. And so vision became one of our focus areas. And it's truly one of our focus areas in our club. One of the things we do is collect eyeglasses.
Over 10,000 pairs a year, our club alone collects.
We transport eye tissue from local hospitals to the eye bank. And any tissue that is transported is done by a Lion, all the Lions clubs in the state. And for us, we do, actually April was our month. We did 17 tissue transplants from local hospitals. We do vision screening. We use a high-tech spot vision camera. And we started the program in 2014, and since that time, we've screened almost 70,000 kids in the Appleton, Menasha area. We do Appleton Public Schools, Menasha Public, and parochial. We do parochial schools in Appleton too. But we have a partnership with the Appleton Area School District, the Menasha School District, and with Ascension. So that's our big service.
Fantastic. Dave and Sue Lee are joining us from the Appleton Noon Lions Club. How many Lions clubs are there in Appleton? You're the Noon.
Well, actually in 1936, we chartered or sponsored the Neenah Lions and the Menasha Lions, and in that same year, the Kaukauna Lions. And in 1964, our club was so large and met at noon, there was a need for Lions members who weren't available to meet at noon, and it was just the right time for a split. So we sponsored or chartered the Appleton Evening Lions. And back in the days when we were chartered, we were in the Illinois district. Wisconsin didn't even have a district in 1922, but within a month or two after our charter, Wisconsin did have a district, and actually our club president became the first district governor. And since then, there have been more district splits. There are currently 10 districts. We've got about 600 clubs in Wisconsin, maybe 18,000 Lions members. And surrounding Appleton, you've got other clubs like the Grand Chute Lions, the Greenville Lions, I think there's a Fox River Lions.
Heart of the Valley Lions.
Yeah, they're all over, and they're all doing great things for their communities.
I mentioned it's your 100th anniversary. What do you have planned for this year for the centennial? What are some of the special things you're doing?
Well, first of all, because our motto is we serve, we are doing 100 days of service to commemorate the 100 years of service. And so far, and we started March 1st, and we're already up to day 72. So we've done 72 days of service since March 1st. And we will do it to 100, although that won't stop the service for the rest of the year.
Sure.
But we've done everything from, well, we do vision screening and the eye transport, and collecting eyeglasses. We've done packaging meals for loaves and fishes, collections of Easter candy for the pantries. What are some of the others?
Well, it just kind of is
what we're trying
going
to
in
do,
different directions.
What we're trying to do is to reach out and connect with other organizations in the community, finding out what needs are out there, and maybe doing some new service that we haven't done in the past. So it's been, and the club members have been great. They've been getting on board. They've been identifying, possible things. We've done bingo at some of the senior homes, a number of different things, putting food in the blessing boxes that are around, that kind of thing. So we're trying to reach out. We're trying to improve our service reach, improve the impact in the community, and at the same time get some more exposure. A lot of people don't know what Lions do.
Our members have made well over 300 pillowcases for the homeless.
For the homeless shelters and Harbor House, and
we've constructed 4 Gaga pits for various schools and parks in the Appleton area, and we'll keep going in that direction. Well, we've talked about vision as one of the global focus areas for Lions. There are 4 others currently. There's diabetes, environment, hunger, and childhood cancer. And collectively, the Lions clubs in Wisconsin have done a tremendous amount for childhood cancer in the last 3 or 4 years, raising funds for flow cytometers, for T-cell cancer treatment, which is really leading edge, both at the Milwaukee Freighter Cancer Center as well as the Carbone Center in Madison.
All right. If anyone is interested in joining, whether it be your club, the New Appleton Lions, or any of the other ones in the area, how can they find out more?
Well, if they're interested in joining our club, and our club is pretty fantastic, I'll tell you. We've got 45 incredible members, and it's all about fun and service, and we really do have a lot of fun. And we meet every Monday, noon, at the Grand Meridian. One option they have is just to stop by, have lunch with us, and kind of observe.
or Google Appleton New Lions. We've got a website. We've got our 100 days of service there. We've got contact information. We've got all kinds of good things. You see what speakers we've had on Mondays. We do meet every week, which is difficult for some people, but there's no requirement that you're there every week. You come when you can. And being at noon, maybe the lines have changed. No longer do businessmen have noon hours that they can, spend at a meeting. So a lot of our members are retired, which is good because a lot of those retired people have a lot of experience and a lot to offer yet. So it's a perfect match for Lions.
Another option that interested people have is that they could Google Lions Clubs International, and there's a club finder. So geographically, if they're a little bit further away and maybe interested in opportunities in Shawano or some other area, those opportunities are out there.
And I think everyone is looking for opportunities for service, especially those who feel like, maybe the budget's a little bit tight. I can give you time, I can't give you cash.
Absolutely.
But one thing about Lions, our club does so many great things. We do a senior living expo every September out at Players Choice, which is great for seniors. It's a great fundraiser for us. We really honor the financial ethics for Lions. The funds we raise goes towards charities. Any administrative funds come from local dues and local voluntary contributions. One great Wisconsin Lion had the saying that the only happiness you get to keep is the happiness you give away. And
We also welcome anyone who wants to work with us and not be a lion. I mean, if someone sees a project they like and they'd like to help us out, we're more than happy to work alongside of them, even if they're not a lion. So,
I should note that your visit with us was arranged by Mary Beth Nienhaus. She's one of your members, I take it?
oh yeah,
oh yeah,
Mary Beth is a very special member of our club. She's a past club president. One of the things that we do is bell ringing for the Salvation Army. We've done that forever. And in past years, Mary Beth has volunteered to have a special match day where she's matched up to $10,000 for funds raised that day. And it's been very successful every year.
All right. And again, the way to contact you guys to join?
you can Google Appleton New Lions and the contact information is there. They can call us. My email is drslee@new.rr.com. We'd be happy to answer. It comes through there, or you can go through the website or call us. My phone number is 920-739-7228. Be happy to answer questions. If you have glasses you want us to pick up. Also, if you can't get to one of the 35, 50 receptacles that we have about the city for eyeglasses, we'll be happy to pick it up. Any questions about Lions, we'd be happy to answer, so give us a call.
By the way, our link to Lions, Sue is the current club president, and I'm a past district governor and the chair of our Centennial Committee.
Very good. So congratulations on 100 years.
We're excited, and we're going to have a party at the Grand Meridian late
May
Sunday
22nd,
afternoon.
right, May 22nd, and it'll be fun. I mean, our point there is celebrate the 100 years, so.
Excellent. Can people attend outside of the club, or is it strictly for club members?
Well, it's primarily for club members, but if they contact us before Friday, this Friday, May 13th.
Anybody's welcome. We have quite a few from outside of the club already coming.
Good.
Many of them Lions,
Yeah.
but anybody's welcome.
And the cost is $25 for
It's a real
the
deal.
meal and a heck of a great
Entertainment,
time.
we're going to have vaudeville style entertainment because at the charter banquet, one of the charter members was a vaudevillian. And he entertained the club. He also wrote new words to a 1922 song. The song was Leave Me With a Smile. And he wrote new words that apply to the Lions, and that song is now in the Lions songbook. Has been for 100 years. He had to put in there, and so we are going to harken back to 100 years ago, and our entertainment is going to be vaudeville style. We're going to have a group from Appleton High School singing. We're going to have a quartet from Lawrence. We're going to have a magician. We're going to have a couple people who think they're comedians.
Okay.
Going to give us some.
And our first project in 1924 was raising funds for musical instruments for the Appleton High School band, and then after that we raised funds for uniforms,
Choir robes.
Choir robes for the chorus, a drum and bugle corps for the Boy Scouts, and so there's definitely going to be music, a lot of fun.
Excellent. I appreciate you guys coming in. Dave, Sue, have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And happy 100 years.
Thanks.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Krause Company here on HBY. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, if you want to come, you guys.
You guys did a great job.
What was the date again?
May 22nd.
Well, it's a Sunday.
It's a
Sunday. Right, there's the Mary Beth, got that put into the Appleton Monthly magazine.
Yep, see that.
Center thing here, a couple of the things that you might be interested. There, we talked about the cone speaker.
Yep. And so,
It's on the pin.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
It's in the
that's
pin.
our pin. And Sue and I found one on eBay in December and bought one. And that's a photograph, a better angle. You can see that lion's head escaping from the speaker.
Yep.
It's kind of amazing.
now, were they before RCA Victor with the dog listening to the Megaphone?
They must have been,
think-
because these guys, prior to Magnavox coming along, you know, I mean, like, this base weighs over 16 pounds, heavy magnets.
Yeah.
But prior to that time, all the listening was through headphones. And kind of funny how.
Yes.
Come back to listening through headphones. But, and they created the company, and then the guy who founded Magnavox, there is a speaker, I can't remember what it's not Henderson, but I mean, it's a well-known speaker. That was his name, and I mean, he spun off, and that company is still surviving today.
Sure.
They're founded in California.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to escort you out.
All right.
So you aren't wandering
So
around.
you, right, so through the
Well,
main-
it is a labyrinth also.
All right, the mic light. Oh, that one.
Or dial up the planning. Head to annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button. It only takes a couple of minutes, in person or online. It's time to take action and know the difference with a fee-only fiduciary. That's Annex Wealth Management. Annexwealth.com.
In Wisconsin, public school educators and parents work together so students are successful, supported, and safe. During Teacher Appreciation Week and every week, the Wisconsin Education Association Council recognizes our state's amazing educators. We see you, we hear you, and we are listening. Join us in celebrating the educators who make a difference in your life at weac.org.
Oh, here we go. You ready to tell your other story?
Right.
Okay. Krause Company is brought to you by Hooper Law Office. Call Peter Harbach and Sarah Kahns at 920-250-9959 for your elder law and estate planning needs. Hooper Law Office, providing a pathway to your legacy. Sign up for free weekly seminars via video conference at estateplanninglive.com. And thanks to Lee's for swinging in here today. And kudos to everyone involved in the service groups today. We're so pressed for time in everything that we do that to be able to carve out hours every week to spend in the service of others is highly commendable nowadays.
Absolutely. Giving back. That's the best thing ever. Give back.
So we mentioned in our first segment this hour that Tommy had a visitor uninvited to his house a couple of weeks ago. And then last week you were down in Dallas. So first off, tell us why you went to Dallas.
I went to Dallas for a convention. It was a technology convention hosted in Dallas. The hotel that I was supposed to stay in sold out. There was a huge, big robotics convention in downtown Dallas. So it was like 40,000 kids and their big erector sets were down there. Dallas is so big, they have like train tracks through their convention center. So, I mean, this is just horrific how huge this was. So I stayed at an Airbnb, my first time ever staying at an Airbnb. And it was gorgeous, and it was like a third of the cost of the hotel. I said, okay, gosh, then I can just like Uber back and forth, no big deal. I mean, it was just a gorgeous studio apartment, awesome view of the Dallas Library and the skyline. Oh, it was absolutely spectacular. You live in Dallas, big city, you have Amazon shipping, 2-hour shipping, so I ordered some shorts because it was really hot down there. And
all right. Didn't you pack your own bag?
I did, no, I did, and it got complicated. So
All right.
let's not go there. That's not the fun part of the story.
Well, we appreciate at least you're wearing clothes in this story. You kind of hinted at the fact that you weren't in the previous story, but go ahead.
So this story, went to dinner, came home, talked to my sweetheart, my family, crashed about 10 o'clock. Okay, perfectly fine. Hear a loud banging at my door at midnight 45. Okay, almost 1 in the morning. I thought it was the Amazon guy just dropping off my package. Okay, he's gonna go away. And I fell back asleep, and the knocking was again. I kind of stumbled out of my bed, wiped the sleep out of my eyes, got to the door, looked through the little peephole, and there's a Dallas police detective. You know, white shirt, tie, big firearm, badge, the whole 9 yards. I'd like to chat with you, please open up. Dallas Police. Okay, so I cracked the door. I'm just looking like death, I know I was. And he says, I'm sorry to wake you, sir. And he was super nice. He said there's been a quote unquote death in the apartment above me. Okay, immediately thinking to myself, if somebody passed away in their sleep, I'm pretty sure Dallas Finance wouldn't be going door to door.
Correct.
Okay, so no trick-or-treating necessary for that one. And so he's, asked me what I'm doing here. Do I own the apartment? Am I renting? Where I was today, what time I left. I had all the right answers, and I had an airtight alibi. 8:30 I was out the door, went to the hotel, was in the conference till 5, came back about 5:15, splashed some water in my face, changed my clothes, and I was out to dinner. I think he's trying to, I don't think for a second he thought that, fat bald white guy is gonna do the crime here, because I was clearly sleeping when it happened. Little did I know that at 10:15 they found a body in the room above me, and he had been fatally shot.
Yes.
So someone had been murdered in the apartment above me. I had no idea. The sound deadening in the apartment was, and they have no idea when it took place, or at least they're not leading on. I'm sure they do, because they can take temperatures and different things, but it didn't happen at 10:30, and I didn't hear any gunshots, but wow, man, and that totally goofed me up. I mean, I couldn't fall back asleep for a couple more hours, and then I get up and I mope into the conference, and hey, Tommy, you're not your usual self. Well, I got a story, so it was story time there too. And then a friend sends me the article in the newspaper. Oh my heavens, to Murgatroyd. Turns out to be, a former Oklahoma University football player that was gunned down. It's like, oh, this is not good. And that could have happened in Appleton, and I don't want it to leave a black eye on a wonderful place, but that kind of puts a damper on things. I mean, that puts things in perspective.
Yeah, so where you were staying, well, this was actually featured on NBC5 DFW, Dallas Fort Worth television. And the incident happened back on May 6th. He was renting the apartment above you for a week and was supposed to check out. Somebody went in to see why he hadn't checked out and found him dead. Have you received any follow-up on that? I don't see any follow-up.
I have not received any follow-up on that. And to be honest with you, I'm okay with no follow-up.
Yeah, Devontae Lampkin is the man's name. And his brother actually plays basketball for Texas Christian University, which is in Fort Worth.
Just bad news, heartache all the way around. I was just ready to check out and see my family. That's all I gotta say. You go out of town, you go to a conference to learn. It's tough enough being away from your family. Then you have that little zinger. Wow. Everybody says it comes in threes, so I'm just gonna put some bubble wrap on me and just take this easy.
Had a somewhat similar incident when I lived in Marinette. There was a gentleman downstairs from me, but that was self-inflicted. And I heard the gunshot, but it was at night, and you're not 100% sure of what you heard.
Did I hear what I hear right?
And it was coincidence, I think, but there had been a crash outside of our apartment complex where someone had taken out a street sign that same night.
Right.
So I hear the bang, and I look out the window, and there is a car and a police car, and a large sign has been knocked down along Highway 41 in Marinette. And I'm like, oh, that must be what I heard. So I go off to work, and I was working mornings in radio at that time. And I get back home at about 2 in the afternoon, and police are on the scene. There's crime scene tape around the apartment building directly down below mine.
Jeez Louise.
And being who I am and what I do for a living, I went up and I talked to one of the guys that I knew from Marinette Police Department. I said, "What's going on here?" And he's like, "What'd you hear last night?" I'm like, "Oh, I remember hearing a loud bang." Well, the next thing I know, I got two guys talking to me about what time you heard the bang, and what did you do when you heard it, and I'm like, there was a crash out there. That's what I remember.
That's bad news. That's bad news. And I just keep coming back to someone lost their life. I mean, okay, I get it. You know, a joke's not funny till someone's crying. I used to say that all the time, but this is really a whole new level, and it just kind of puts things in perspective. I mean, life is sacred, and that's just horrible.
Yeah.
Just a horrible situation.
The news stories that I have here do not say anything about how long before he was discovered Devontae Lampkin had died, but again, it's a little unsettling. Does that turn you off of Airbnb? Because the same thing could happen in a hotel.
Correct. No, absolutely correct. And I have to, the voice of reason comes in. That could have happened in the upstairs of the Sheraton. Of course, I would have gotten more Sheraton points if that had happened. No, it doesn't turn me off. And I left the gentleman a glowing review, and I would come back into that apartment. Of course, it would be, you know, I'm just minding my own business, and I'm pretty sure, and I can't prove it, but if something tells me that it wasn't just a random thing. And because I don't know the story, I don't know no backstory, just mind my own business, doing my own thing, I'm okay with it. I would go back in a second. It was a beautiful place.
A traumatic couple of weeks there for you, Tommy.
Very traumatic. And then I come here on the radio, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I try not to traumatize you too much.
No, there's no trauma. This is fantastic. I love it.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, it is Mike and Manny. Mike Waters from Settlers Bank and Manny Vasquez from Pepperly. And we're going to be talking about the local economy. That's next on Krause Co here on WHBY.
Further,
I believe
faster,
Louise
and
left her
have
water
fun
bottle in
with your new e-bike from Wheel and Sprocket, where you'll find the best e-bike selection in the country. Enjoy your e-bike from Wheel
This is
and
not
Sprocket.
yours, right?
No, sir. Yeah, that's the gentleman who brought it in.
Okay. Oops, it's 15.
Hi, I'm Stacy Hennessy with Sun Affiliated.
Hi, Stacey
When it's
Hennessy.
time to list your home, I hope you consider talking to me and my team of experts. We'll develop strategies to put the most money in your wallet. The consultation is free and you're under no obligation. To learn more about our services and to see what my team can do for you, check out our website at stacyhennessy.com or feel free to call me anytime at 920-470-9692. Stacy Hennessy and Company, we're here to help make your next move easy and stress-free.
In Wisconsin, public school educators and parents work together so students are successful, supported, and safe. During Teacher Appreciation Week and every week, the Wisconsin Education Association Council recognizes our state's amazing educators. We see you, we hear you, and we are listening. Join us in celebrating the educators who make a difference in your life at weac.org.
These days, it's getting harder and harder to find savings. But you may have more cash than you realize in your home's equity.
Or the rain last night
Unlock
was
it
hard.
today with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage. In the last year, average home values have gone up nearly 20%. That means you could unlock thousands of dollars from your home. And with Rocket Mortgage, you could get all that cash in as little as 3 weeks. Put your hard-earned money to work. Pay down high-interest debt and combine your balances into one simple, low monthly payment. Now is your perfect opportunity to take control of your financial future. So what are you waiting for? When you want to consolidate debt and simplify your finances, Rocket can. Call 8338-ROCKET today or go to rocketmortgage.com to get started. That's 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030. Call 800-490-1233 for disclosures and cost information.
Offers everything you need to make beer, wine, cider, mead, and spirits. Stop in and learn from the experts. The Cellar offers homebrew ingredients like yeast, grains, hops, honey, puree, and juice, along with kits to make, bottle, and put on tap all your favorite beverages. Need help? They have a large selection of how-to books. They also offer gift certificates. The Cellar at 465 North Washburn on the Frontage Road in Oshkosh. For hours to order online and for curbside pickup, visit thecellarhomebrew.com.
Get your tickets now for the 4 C-Notes this Saturday at the Grand Oshkosh.
The Four C Notes are the only tribute dedicated to recreating the music of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. This tribute features hits including Sherry, Big Girls Don't Cry, Walk Like a Man, Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, and many more. Get your tickets now for the Four C Notes this Saturday at 7:30 at the Grand Oshkosh. Don't miss this terrific musical experience. Go to thegrandoshkosh.org now.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of crazy out there. So take it from Wisconsin's best BMX freestylers when it comes
All
to
right.
driving.
Do that? Dude, that would be really crazy.
Because you can't rock a Superman on the trails if you're a trash man in cuffs heading to jail. So drive sober or get pulled over.
Get the free Drive Sober app with Find a Ride and designated driver features and more at zeroinwisconsin.gov. Zero in Wisconsin. Together, we can save lives.
Wisconsin DOT.
If you've ever ordered food for work, you understand. It's different. There's just so much more at stake. Whether it's a client call or lunch with the office that has to arrive at the actual lunchtime, food for work has to work. That's why there's Easy Cater. Food that's on time and as ordered from over 82,000 restaurants. And if there's a problem, Rare can reach someone in seconds. Thank you for calling Easy
I had the
Cater.
Lee's in for
Some
Wednesday.
food just doesn't work at work, but Easy Cater just does. Order 24/7 at
Human error.
easycater.com.
Where do you start today with AM Fox Valley?
I love the
My
way
day
you
planner
do it.
is the business
Do you
week,
want to
so it
protect
starts
your
on
family?
Monday,
Do you want
not
to maintain
Sunday.
control of your health and
And
finances?
I don't know
Join the
when I talked to
attorneys
him on
at
the
Hooper Law
phone.
Office
Said,
in
"Oh, you want to
person
join me next
for the popular
Tuesday?
Wills
Yeah, we
versus
can do that.
Trust
All right,
seminar.
9 o'clock.
This seminar gives
Sounds good."
participants
And I
the
rolled him in
opportunity
Wednesday.
to ask questions and learn about the aspects of
Now your
estate
Wednesday's
planning and
open.
long-term
I got some-
care.
Yeah, unfortunately, my Wednesday's open.
The next session
You were gonna
will
tell
take
stories.
place in person at 2 p.m.
Today.
and 6 p.m. on Wednesday, May 11th at the Neville Public Museum, located at 210 Museum Place in Green Bay. Registrants can attend either session. Register at estateplanningreenbay.com. Seating is limited, so you'll want to RSVP right away.
What should we talk about
Registered
next?
participants
Oh, we have a
will
time
receive
clock, you guys?
copies
Yeah,
of
we have
educational
Mike Manning,
materials
so-
and have an opportunity to ask questions during the session. You'll also receive a free copy of their books, Your Life, Your Legacy, The Fundamentals of Effective Estate Planning, and Your Life, Your Legacy, Nursing Homes and Long-Term Care. Register for the in-person session on May 11th at 2 p.m. or 6 p.m. at estateplanningreenbay.com today.
CBS Radio News and the WHBY News team, keeping you informed 24/7. WHBY, Kimberly, Appleton, Oshkosh, a Woodward Radio Group station.
I'm Steve Payton. Another gas price jump is the latest economic gut punch, but this could be a day that 401ks repair some of the damage done by the recent financial market turmoil. Dow's up now about 20 points. Business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
The next focus for investors will be the Consumer Price Index tomorrow morning. The CPI report is expected to show a similar level of inflationary pressure in the economy. It could drop down by a tick or two in the April report.
I'm Jim Crusoe in High Point, North Carolina. Gas prices have hit a new record high, with the nationwide average now at $4.37 a gallon, according to AAA. Steve Jeffers is feeling it.
Yeah, they're going up 10 cents, 15 cents at a time. Everything's too expensive. I don't have much spending money anyway.
Gas prices this time last year were just under $3 a gallon.
In Alabama, the big question is still why. Why did a jail official help a murder suspect escape? After more than a week on the run, it all ended in Indiana after a chase. She died of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Suspect Casey White is back in custody. Deputy Marshal Chad Hunt.
There are several tragedies to this story, the way that this escape ended, but also, too, it stings that somebody entrusted with what she was given as a correctional officer planned, organized, and facilitated this escape.
In Washington, Congress is getting the latest U.S. intelligence about the war in Ukraine, as we hear from CBS's Cammie McCormick.
Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines says Russian President Putin is digging in for the long haul.
We assess President Putin is preparing for a prolonged conflict.
And she said Putin still doubts Western resolve.
He is probably counting on U.S. and EU resolve to weaken as food shortages, inflation, energy prices get worse.
She said he might also turn to more drastic measures, including declaring martial law to draw up more Russian forces.
To free up the resources needed to achieve his objectives as the conflict drags on, or if he perceives Russia is losing in Ukraine.
With tensions high over a leaked draft Supreme Court opinion on abortion. CBS's Scott McFarland says there are security concerns.
The U.S. Marshals say they've increased security help to the High Court, and last night the U.S. Senate passed a bill extending additional security not just to the justices, but to their families.
Police in Madison, Wisconsin are asking for the public's help in the attack that caused damage at the office of an anti-abortion group. Fox Sports says today Tom Brady's agreed to join the network and be a game analyst after his playing career.
All right, so
The Dow is
that's
up
Tommy.
points.
Hey, how are you?
Mike,
how are ya?
My pleasure.
Pleasure. Throw this on.
Just gotta get our commercial break going here.
CBS Mornings, weekdays on CBS.
Hey, better wear your visitor badge or the police will come.
That's right. Gotta get that on. You kind of know me around here, but I'll tell you what. It's
been a while.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. Yeah, it's always been, last how many have been, phoning.
Yep. Thought you liked the new digs.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that looks pretty high tech to me.
So why don't you take the, okay, why don't you slide that chair over? What are you doing about chairs here?
I just
Are you talking about-
we did another one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm Adam Landsberg, and I'm the Chief Lending Officer.
It's total chaos today anyway, so. And
you
yes,
doing?
written in on the wrong day, and you
Oh,
know.
no!
So Manny, maybe let him sit on the end here.
Yep, that'll be the easiest.
Seeing if I had a live call today, and I do.
Consolidate debt or pay off your loan faster to match your retirement. That's why we're here to help, right? We're here to
We got a
help
few
you
minutes
succeed.
here. We got news and some spots and whatever. All right, so do we have enough headphones for everyone?
Hi guys. Hey buddy. How are ya? Good. I'm sorry, I was trying to get off the phone and I saw that like harder than I thought it would.
Hey, good to meet you, man.
You too, Jonathan.
Yeah, good.
Thanks for having me. This is fun. Hey, Tommy.
Hello, Manny.
Haven't seen you in a long time. Good, man.
Okay, so Mike, why don't you take these headphones? We aren't taking any calls or anything, so it'll just be me and you guys, all of us here, and then
Saturday was fun. Yeah.
Manny, let me know if you can hear out of that okay?
Okay. It was a good table, wasn't it? Yeah. I like the Burbergs were nice people too. Really good folks, yeah.
And then I'm going to stand just because it's easier for me to see everybody that way with these screens. So don't be uncomfortable if I'm standing. You're like, oh, why is he standing?
Christine Williams, who serves on the Appleton Historical Society, expressed support for revitalizing the square and referenced the financial contributions from Amos Lawrence. She makes her case for the city to take action.
That was good. Sorry you have to sneak out. No, it's early start the next day. Yeah. You should have probably stopped a little bit. We made one stop and we had a driver, so.
The city did adopt a resolution that formally supports the rededication and revitalization of Central Square. High winds and thunderstorms moved through our area overnight. That led to damage to at least one home and multiple power outages. Fox Crossing home sustained damage when high winds toppled a tree onto the building. No one was injured in that incident. We Energies also reports about 5,000 homes and businesses west of the Fox Valley were without power overnight. Electricity has been restored to the majority of its customers. And work is set to begin on a new exhibit at the Menominee Park.
I was wondering how the Hilton flag would impact their whole operation. Right? They have
scheduled to start next week. The hope is to have that exhibit open.
Manny, something real quick. You are actually, your microphone is going to be controlled right here. Okay. So what's going to happen is we're going to play the rejoin music, and I'm going to turn your mic on because obviously you can't reach that from on that other side. So just keep that in mind. Your mic's going to be hot.
Okay. All right. So as soon as you give me the
and
signal.
when we go to commercial breaks, I'll pot you down, and then when we come back, I'll pot you back up.
Okay. Just flag it and give me a signal, and I'll be quiet.
Well, you'll hear all of this go away. Okay. That's meaning the mic is live.
Okay.
What's the gist of our conversation
On
we're
Wednesday,
talking
May
about?
11th, at the Level Public
Good
Museum,
stuff.
located
All the ugly stuff's going on.
in Green Bay.
Gas
Register
prices,
to attend either session. Register
interest
at
rates,
estateplanninggreenbay.com.
prices.
Seating is limited, so you'll want to RSVP.
But still a fair
right
amount of
away.
activity.
Register
Lots of activity.
complimentary
Man,
educational
consumer
materials
confidence
and
is
an
still- the real
opportunity
estate
to
market's
ask
still
questions
bonkers.
during the session. You'll also
Totally
receive a free
bonkers right
copy of
now.
their books,
I'm
Your
selling houses right
Life,
now.
Your Legacy, The Fundamentals of Effective Estate Planning,
And my
and
wife's
Your
a
Life,
realtor,
Your
too,
Legacy,
on the
Nursing
residential
Homes
side.
and Long-Term Care. Register
Yeah,
at
the
the
people in
session
inflation
on May
at this
11th
point, I
at
mean,
2
I
p.m.
know
or
in
6 p.m.
the inventory's been low, just that's
estateplanninggreenbay.com
yeah,
today.
Supply and demand.
Correct. But buyers are just chomping at the bit. Exit Realty.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I've heard
It's
of them,
what
sure.
we do.
You were in tech for a long time, weren't you?
Prepared.
Still I am.
Still are.
Actions
I
and
remember
news.
technology
The
and then
station
director of
that turns
technology
it
for
when
our,
weather strikes.
our
The most
brokerage.
experienced local evening news team alerts you
So
first.
selling hoses is kind of a side hustle for me.
We received new information from officials.
Bringing you up-to-the-minute news, weather, and sports. Experience matters. Action 2 News and
Commercial
5,
to it.
6,
As
and
if
10.
stuff is happening.
Now, first alert weather on WHBY.
Today is a first alert weather day. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds, warm and humid, a high of 79 degrees.
On the
And
buy
then
side,
this
it's on the
afternoon
buy
and
side.
early evening,
Nikki wrote, she
scattered
worked all
strong
weekend,
thunderstorms will
not
be
last weekend, the weekend
possible.
before,
If you
wrote
have
4
damaging
offers, and
winds,
good,
hail,
strong
heavy
offers,
rainfall,
and didn't get
even
any of them.
isolated tornadoes.
She's like,
Foggy late with a low of
Yeah,
40.
Hang on here, guys. I gotta do a quick weather check.
Weather Center. I'm Steve Rollins.
Thanks, Steve. Right now, hazy and 69 at the Myron Construction Studio, WHBY.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell and Cordell.
Okay, so we got 30 seconds.
Who are being denied access to their kids.
Do a live read for our friends at Hooper.
Are contending with child support issues.
You see
In
Helen
all
on
of
the
these cases,
television
doing
this morning?
nothing
No.
is probably not a good strategy. The law has given you rights, but you have to assert them. If the challenge is the
No, it's not yet.
company,
Okay.
Cordell and Cordell offers a capped
Yeah,
fee
she was
option. Give us a
talking about
call.
Schedule an
labor
appointment with one of
supply.
Cordell and Cordell's Madison area attorneys.
Supply
8040
and
Excelsior Drive, Suite
Madison
403,
supply.
Madison, Wisconsin,
That's the
53717.
hardest.
All right, guys, here we go. Krause Company is brought to you by Hooper Law Office. Call Peter Harbach and Sarah Kahns at 920-250-9959 for your elder law and estate planning needs. Hooper Law Office, providing a pathway to your legacy. Sign up for their free weekly seminars via video conference at estateplanninglive.com. Jonathan Krause, Tommy Clifford. It's Tuesdays with Tommy here on Krause and Company. Welcome back for the second hour. No traumatizing stories.
No, we're
about
done with
this hour.
traumatizing stories.
Yes,
We're done.
thankfully.
It's puppies and rainbows. Nothing but good stuff to talk about. Oh, wait a minute. We're going to talk financial stuff.
Yeah, we'll see how puppies and rainbow it is here as we are joined by Mike and Manny, longtime guest in this time segment. For the first time, you're joining us here on Krause and Company, and I appreciate you guys keeping the tradition going. Mike Waters from Settlers Bank, and also Manny Vasquez from NAI Pfefferly, joining us here live in the Myron Construction Studio. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning. Good to be here.
All right,
Yeah, happy to
so
be back.
yeah, let's get right into it here, and I want to start with what is the number one issue when you talk to anyone in terms of polls, whether it be political and or economic, and that is inflation. So what are we seeing as being the main effect beyond just prices going up on our commodities and our regular goods that we buy, but also inflation's overall effect on the market?
Yeah, it's what's interesting about it, Jonathan, is we haven't seen inflation like this in a long time. And you're talking last month it was 8.5%, and they harkened back and they were comparing it with the early 80s. And so I think that's the one thing that's rattled people is we haven't had to deal with this in such an extended period of time. And as far as the causes, you know, there's a lot of different triggers. Right now, what's driving the increase is obviously energy, which is gas and any type of power, and food is increasing as well. I think energy last month was plus 32%, the cost of energy. Now that's a staggering number, and that goes into that CPI, that the overall was 8.5. That's a component, right? But even if you extract energy and food was plus 8.8%, the CPI was still up 6.5% last month. So actually that was for March. April's data I think comes out tomorrow.
Okay.
So
Look for another great day on Wall Street.
Yeah, right. We got an update today after 3 down ones, but so yeah, it's real, it's there, and people are kind of learning how to deal with it. But it's you know, it's tangible. People are feeling it, consumers and businesses alike.
I don't see as much gray hair on you guys as I have on my head. Are you old enough to remember what inflation was like in the early 80s?
Not me. No, not a whole lot. I've heard of it and read about it, but I wasn't there.
I was, unfortunately. And one of the unfortunate things was not only did we have high inflation and unemployment at that time, we also had very high interest rates. You know, my parents, their first mortgage, it was double digits in terms of interest. And you tell that to people nowadays, and like, how could that be possible?
Right.
But man, let's talk about what the inflation is doing in terms of construction as well, because it's not just what we're buying, it's what we're trying to build that's going up and up and up.
Absolutely, yeah, and Mike said it well. Inflation impacts all of the goods that we're consuming, and that includes raw materials to build that we use in construction. So we're definitely seeing the impact there. And really, if we think back to the pandemic, supply chains were completely disrupted, right? Starting with manufacturing facilities shutting down because of the pandemic. So we had delay after delay, and that impacted national and global supply chains dramatically. So with that, the cost is going up pretty dramatically, as Mike mentioned. So that impacts from lumber, which we heard all about during the thick of the pandemic, the cost going up. Then that went over to plastics and food and paper and electronics, cars, you name it, basically everything we consume as a society. So the good news that we're hearing from our friends in in the construction industry, is that prices are starting to stabilize. It sounds like they're not going back down to pre-pandemic levels, so let's get used to these new numbers and new levels. But the fact that they are at least calming down a little bit gives the confidence to developers and companies to go ahead and pull the trigger on their expansion projects or their growth projects. That, along with potential interest rates on the horizon, it seems like there's this rush to get projects done now before money becomes more expensive. So despite the costs of raw materials, I think we're still seeing a fair amount of activity because, again, folks want to take advantage of these relatively low interest rates despite the dramatic spike that we just saw.
Yeah, and we'll touch on interest rates coming up here a little bit later in our discussion. The interesting thing about inflation is that it feeds upon itself, because when you get your money, you think, oh my goodness, tomorrow this is going to be more expensive than it is right now. I need to buy it right now. And the best efforts to try to control all that spending, it just circles away from those who are trying to raise interest rates and think that they're going to slow down the spending, because the person swears tomorrow it's going to be more expensive. I got to buy it today.
Right.
How do you break that cycle with someone?
Yeah,
I know nobody's an economist here. I apologize, but
that's a good
No,
question.
that's a tough one. I think it's a valid point, Jonathan. I mean, you look at vehicles. I checked that out for the March data as well. Price of vehicles went up 12.5%, and that was new. Used was higher. But we deal with some local car dealerships, and you talk with those folks, and they can't keep cars on the lot.
Yeah.
People are still, and I think that might be part of it. They're thinking, well, yes, the cost of the car, used or new, is high right now, but if I wait, it could be more expensive. And so I think there is a little bit of that self-fulfilling prophecy with the inflation, where it feeds upon itself. How do you stop that? Yeah, that's probably a question for an economist. I think some of that is interest rate driven. I think we have, to Manny's point, supply issues still right now, and that was affected by COVID. Getting things here is more difficult. So when that straightens out, I think that will help. Also, at some point, the interest rate pressures will have an impact. People are looking at that now. Historically speaking, rates are still low. When you talk about the history of rates, whether that be mortgage or commercial rates or prime or anything, treasuries, but compared to a year ago, definitely up, fairly significantly.
Yeah, it's interesting, depending on what kind of industry a lot of our clients at Fefley are in, they're seeing that spike and drop and spike and drop as well, and they're still recovering from the pandemic, although a lot of them had record years during the pandemic because of what they produce, right? If we look regionally, we're talking corrugated and paper and plastics and packaging. A lot of those things were extremely popular and overbought during the pandemic. So that on the real estate side, that impacted the need for warehouse space, because all of a sudden you're cranking out more product. Perhaps you need more space to manufacture that product in and also to store it. So that was one of my bullet points on my notes, is the demand for industrial space, whether that's production or warehouse distribution, is still extremely high because of these spikes in consumer spending and purchasing. So it's been interesting to look at it locally because of who we are and what we make also.
you mentioned that everyone's looking for manufacturing and storage space. Nobody's looking for office space, are they?
Well,
that's kind of changed from pre-pandemic the most.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch the office market. Certainly a drop in occupancy, right? Now, something to keep in mind is if we look back to 2016, 17, this trend had already started. Virtual and remote working was a thing, right? People working from coffee shops or from home. As technology improved, that became more popular. So the need for a physical space was not as high as it used to be. So in 2016, speaking of 16, we had a vacancy rate here in the Fox Cities for office at 4.5%. Today, we're at 11% of vacancy. So a lot more space vacant, empty, and available. But the good news is that the phone's still ringing at our shop for groups who are looking for office space. It might be a smaller footprint than they needed initially. And I think they see the value in having an attractive environment, right? Modern with good technology, especially now with Zoom and virtual meetings. And also if you tie the talent piece to that, that's a really good way to attract and keep top talent if you have an attractive work environment for your folks. So we're still seeing a need for it. And I think there's been a flight to quality with office space, more modern, newer, and just with the bells and whistles, with the amenities that employees are expecting now. A lot of older office space out there has been sitting for a while. That's what worries us more than the newer stuff.
Yep. And I hear discussions about, well, if we never fill that with office again, we can always turn it into housing for people because we need housing in certain areas. That's Manny Vasquez, Mike Waters from Settlers Bank joining us here today. Tommy Clifford in as well. You mentioned the incredible increase we've seen in energy prices, and we had another big jump in prices yesterday if you drove by any of the gas pumps. What are we looking at in terms of short-term impact here on local economy as we push again past the $4 barrier, and who knows how far we go during the summer driving season?
Yeah, I think so far when you look at businesses, they're definitely in tune, and they've got to do a good job on their end understanding their costing, right? Because if they're running equipment, machinery, if you're talking about contractors with heavy equipment in the field, that's just costing more. And so they have to understand that, price that in, again, back to the inflation piece. However, I would say that it's not slowing things down. Again, production is good. Again, to Manny's point, I think the last couple of years, people have had very good years. And, in general, the banking system is pretty flush with cash still. And again, I think that's what's continuing to drive, businesses and them being cautiously optimistic, but yet driving forward with new equipment, new plans, and growth. What can curtail that is something like the warehouse space. If you want to grow and you have the demand, and you can't find any warehouse space or production space, you can't do it. You can't accomplish. You can't meet the demand. Yeah. So that's. But overall, I think again, people are looking at it. They're pricing it in. It is a concern, but it's not. I don't think slowing, at least the local economy yet.
I agree with Mike. That's what we're hearing from our clients. I think the labor shortage is a bigger headache right now than the increase in oil prices and gas prices. I think certainly it throws off pro formas, and your cost, to Mike's point, has to take that into account and then some. But the labor shortage that's what keeps folks up at night, right? And we've talked about this many times, and the impact that has on cost itself and productivity and the economy locally and nationally. We're not the only ones dealing with this. That's really the biggest headache. So until we figure that one out, and I don't know if you guys have any great solutions for that. We know of a lot of
We
good
needed to be
programs.
working on that solution 18 years
Exactly.
ago.
That's my point, right? It's a little too late to play catch up. And a lot of local economic development groups are doing a really good job. The New North is one, and the different chambers locally. But I think to your point, Jonathan, we're now trying to play catch up as a society, and it's a demographic problem.
Yeah. Were you guys at the Economic Outlook luncheon?
Yes.
That was put
in
on?
Appleton, yeah.
He told us, start having more babies.
That's right.
Plain and simple.
Hey, Mike and I each have 4, so we're doing
our
our
part.
Yeah.
And Tommy, how many do you have?
I got 5.
Hey, there we go.
I'm I had to tap out.
So, thank you for making up for the fact that I have no children. Thank you. Good job, guys.
Doing what we can, right?
Yep. but which, when you think about it, isn't a whole lot.
Right.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the housing market and how it still remains just insane right now. Not only here in the Fox Valley, but nationwide. You're listening to Krause Company on WH.
Pick your number. Pick your number.
That's unprecedented.
So my folks had a place in Leesburg, Florida. It was their winter home, and they bought it 11 years ago for $99,000. It had been foreclosed upon twice, and no one had ever lived in it. This was built on spec. Original builder got foreclosed on, and then some Indian investor came in and thought he was going to make money on that and got foreclosed on. Oh wow! So they were the first ones to live in it. They sold it in April for $309,000.
Triple. Yeah. Over triple.
Sure, I'm a kid.
11 years.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Which isn't that long. No, it really isn't.
My
My parents just sold their place in Chicago. Same story. Middle class neighborhood, nothing too special. 1 weekend of showings, 15 offers, every single one over asking. Every single one.
And
yeah, and
no
inspection.
No,
I mean, waived all contingencies, and it was in good shape. So they
Pre-approved
felt good about it.
cash,
Yeah,
right?
Yep. Yeah, we just can't believe what they got for it. You know, it's just wild.
And
They're happy.
Are they coming this way or where are they going?
Eventually,
Or are they going
they're
south?
renting for a year. Renting for a year until things calm down is their plan. And yeah, we're trying to get them up to my sister's in Madison. So
Okay.
pointing to Milwaukee as a nice triangle.
Yeah. How old's your sister?
She's 2 years older.
Oh, does she have kids too?
She does. Yeah, a couple of little ones.
Closer to the grandkids.
Exactly. That's. I feel like they're inching
Oh,
closer.
Mike, by the way, I just need you a little bit closer to your mic. So if you
Oh,
want to
okay.
pull it towards you,
Yep.
it does move that
I
way.
got a sign for that. That must be the chicken.
You're a little soft.
All right. I could definitely improve on that. It's usually not a problem for me.
Family, for example. If you can set affordable limits.
So my thing on housing will be multifamily apartments.
Okay.
We don't really touch the residential
Yep, that's
side.
fine.
Okay.
So Mike can take residential.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I can because again, we're on the mortgage
Tommy's
front.
here.
I can tell you what we see on the mortgage
Yeah.
front.
Text us at
And my wife's a realtor, Tommy.
858.
And then we'll mix, that's where we'll mix in the interest rates, if it'll have any effect on demand when you guys see
Everyone's
it.
a winner. A message from the Wisconsin
I can
Lottery.
talk a little bit about that directly.
Yes.
The
It's the
rates have
sound of
impacted
bacon sizzling.
mortgages.
Good start for this radio
No
ad, huh?
refis, but,
Only this isn't a bacon
new
ad.
mortgages are
This
still
is a
hot.
sausage ad.
When you refi,
Johnsonville
you're bound by
sausage
the new
strips.
rate, right?
Strips of
Or
sausage
you
and
lock,
meat
you can't lock
like
into what you
meat
locked
and
in
chorizo.
initially.
So now your
That
BLT
moves
just
on.
became
That's what's
XLT.
difficult.
And your bacon cheeseburger
And
just
what's
became a
interesting
chorizo
is what do you think
cheeseburger.
the last time
Blowing your mind yet?
mortgage rates
Some
on
Johnsonville
average were
sausage
over
strips like
5%
bacon.
in a year,
Even though
calendar year?
they're sausage.
Wasn't that way back in, just after Jimmy Carter?
Look that
No,
protects
it's gonna be
and stays clean.
96 or
Choose Dutch
97.
Boy from Menards. Now
Mortgage
all
rates on average were over
11% off.
5%
Get
in
quality
2000.
products with smart technology
2018.
like mildew resistant
Really?
coating.
Really?
stain
I
shield,
would have
and
not
dirt
guessed. I had to
resistant
go on a-
paint and
Wow, I
primer
would've taken
in
a
the
vote on that,
aluminum
yeah.
Dutch Boy twisted
Fannie
metal
Mae, actually Fannie
containers.
Mae.
Get
They checked it
11% off
in
everything, including the full
2000
line of
and
Dutch
then-
Boy
and then it
paints
was low
now at
again, low.
Menards. Good through
And
May
then
14th.
2008
Savings are mail-in rebates, some
or
exclusions
7, they were
apply.
above
See store
6,
for
just barely above
details.
6. So that was like, wow.
You can do
But it
just
seems
about
like
anything you
decades ago
want
because
when
we've
you
been
get a loan
spoiled
from
for
Cell Phone.
4
You could
years.
remodel your kitchen, add a
And then
sunroom,
before that, before the
outdoor
little jump that they were above
entertainment
5,
space,
it was
or
again
consolidate high-interest
3s and
loans
4s.
from other financials
You know,
with a
right?
home equity loan from Community First. When you
20
have a
was
relationship
under
with
3 on
Community
average,
First Credit Union,
2.9,
you get
6.
lots of super
Okay.
affordable ways to pay for whatever you want to do.
Let's
Because
fix it.
here,
My parents' first mortgage was 16.5%.
Can you imagine?
That was the rate, man.
It was
That's
what it
what you
was,
paid.
right?
And that was on new construction too. They had rented until they built new.
21 was 2.9.
Community First
So,
can help you
there's
do
18.
whatever you're inspired
This is
to do.
19.
Replace those
4
old
point-
doors
maybe
and
it's about
windows.
4,
Build a bigger
4.5.
garage. Buy a vacation home. You can do just about anything.
So it's
and
above
get
4.5
less
in
when you
2018.
get a loan from a place you own. Community First Credit Union, where relationships
But you wouldn't guess that.
together
Yeah.
with
All right, here we go, guys.
Equal housing opportunity lender.
Welcome back to Krause Company here on WHBY. Jonathan Krause, co-host today, Tommy Clifford. Tommy still with us?
I'm here.
Okay,
I'm
good.
here.
We're bringing Tommy into this conversation here in this segment.
Oh, it's good stuff.
We also have Manny Vasquez from NAI Pepperly and Mike Waters from Settlers Bank joining us as well. And we talked in the first segment about the impact of inflation on the economy. Now let's talk a little bit about the impact of interest rate hikes. And give us some idea, if you will, Mike, just what a 0.5% increase in, say, the Fed rate has on the rest of the market once you get into either residential or commercial lending.
Yeah, so the Fed rate is manipulated, right? So, and I think a lot of bankers and economists would say that the floating rates in treasuries, mortgage rates, which are somewhat floating, that those things had already priced in the most recent increase. It was already priced in. And you saw that our mortgage rates at Settlers, went up maybe a very, very small tick after the Fed announcement of the 0.5 basis point increase a week ago. So I would say that markets had priced that in already to some degree. Now prime goes directly with the Fed rate. That went up to 4%. It hadn't been at 4 for quite some time. And that affects the cost of borrowing, right? So we have business clients who are tied to the prime rate, and their cost of borrowing has increased. That 0.5 basis points now is more expensive to borrow. But again, historically speaking, 4% prime is pretty low. And in my lifetime, I started banking in the late 90s. The highest prime rate I think I saw was 8.5%. So even in that time frame, which I guess is 25 years now or something like that, I'm dating myself here, it is still low even compared to those days, and again, harkening back to the early 80s, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say is there's a bit of sticker shock now with mortgage rates because the expectation over the last few years is in their mind, I'm assuming it starts with a 3, or maybe if I'm doing a 15-year, it starts with a 2. And you look historically over the last few years, and average mortgage rates have been in that realm. Not since 2018 have average mortgage rates been above 4.5%, and we're there now. But as far as our mortgage demand, meaning are people, to your question, are people now starting to say I don't want to buy a new place because the rates are higher? No, that mortgage demand is still there. What we've seen go away is the refinance demand. Most people are already locked in at the 3 to 4% range, and they're not going to refi at 5.
Yep, makes sense. Manny, what do you see?
Boy, on the housing side, multifamily is as hot as it gets. We can see that right firsthand if we drive around the downtowns, not just in Appleton, but in Neenah, Oshkosh, Green Bay, throughout the region. I think my theory is, and some developers have confirmed this, with single family being so hot and such a great time to sell, a lot of these apartments in the central business districts are being filled not only by young professionals, but also empty nesters who have sold recently and want the lifestyle, right? The convenience of not having to mow your lawn and shovel snow in Wisconsin winters, to lock up your apartment and travel south for a couple or a few months out of the year. So I think it's the walkability to amenities, restaurants, bars, and you name it. So I just saw a stat from the city of Appleton that just in the downtown Appleton area alone, from 2020 to 2023, there have been or will be 461 new apartment units. 461 new apartment units built, which for a fairly small area is pretty dramatic. Now, that number is still way short from demand. So stay tuned for a lot more projects being built in the Fox Cities area along with Northeast Wisconsin. And some of the rents are what seem high to us for our market. The usual comment is, well, you can buy a big house for that rent or have a large mortgage. Yes, but also the cost to maintain a home. And again, back to the lifestyle and the convenience, that has a value to a lot of renters also. So it's been interesting to watch that segment perform so well.
Yeah, plus you have to be able to find a house to get the mortgage on for the same
Absolutely.
payment. And Tommy, you had an incredible story of a friend that you know in the realty business from out in Idaho, was it?
Yes, it was in the Idaho market, and they received an offer to purchase on a home with the purchase price blank. fill in your purchase price, counter it back to us, you know, make sure it's not completely ludicrous, but that's the way it is. I mean, I've seen homes almost double. I saw a house in Spokane go for double the price. I've lost homes in this market for $65,000 over asking price in, you know, in a $300,000 range. It's ridiculous, even the twos. I mean, you know, you're going 25, 30% over and there's still more attractive, stronger, you know, code word, okay, stronger offer. Okay, seriously, so it came in all cash and, you know, naming rights for the first child and the whole thing, and it's vicious. I mean, I have a lot of sad buyers, The walk of shame is real.
Manny's parents and my parents have both cashed in on this because my parents sold their place in Florida for triple what they paid just 11 years ago. And you had the same thing with your folks down in Chicago.
Absolutely, and we hear those similar stories here. My folks had one weekend of showings, you know, 15 or 16 offers, every single one of them over asking price. So now they're just doing the happy dance, and they're ecstatic, and they can't believe that they got what they got. And I think that's the same situation locally, right? For a lot of sellers who are saying, "Hey, we've been thinking about selling in the next, you know, 1, 2, 3, 5 years. Let's do it now because why not?"
Mike, you've been through this before, the boom and the bust of housing. How long can this go on, honestly?
I wonder that every day, Jonathan. I think about it, and can it continue? And I think that, again, the things driving it are, we have a lack of supply and we have plenty of demand. Employment is very high right now and wages are going up. There's cash in the system that I referred to before on the consumer side and the business side, both. With those things in place, I think, and consumer confidence is still fairly high. It's above 100. It was up in March after a couple of down months in January, February. With those ingredients, I think we'll see this continue. Now, have prices started to top out? Boy, I would think so. I don't know how they can continue to climb. It would get into the realm of nonsensical, you know. But will demand still be there right now? We're seeing signs that it certainly is. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The city of Oshkosh conducted a housing study, and everyone expected we're going to find out there's not enough low-income housing. But what they also found out was there wasn't enough high-income housing. So people like me who are in the middle, if you wanted to move up and be in Oshkosh, there was nothing for you. So we stay in our houses. And those who might be able to move up from low income to where I am, they have nowhere to go either. So we can't just think of it as we need to build as many low income housing units and all these giant apartment buildings. We need subdivisions too.
Right. Yeah, I think it's the full spectrum, right? And I think we stopped building for so many years. Now, back to the supply issue that Mike and Tommy were talking about. Now we're seeing the impact of that. And again, builders are trying to play catch up. But you're right, Jonathan. It's the full spectrum of pricing and unit type also.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Manny. I agree. Following the Great Recession, there was not many people doing subdivisions at all. There was a lot of fear, rightly so. People got burned and it was a difficult time. And just as a banker, we didn't see many requests or any, I mean, very few for subdivision developments for a good 5 to 7 years. And now that's manifested itself in this supply issue that we have.
So I want to have each of you give our listeners some advice here. And we'll start with you, Mike. If you're going to begin the mortgage process, what advice do you have for people right now?
Well, I think, you know, be cautious. I would say one of the things that I've learned on the merger and acquisition side, and I think it would ring true to a home buyer as well, set your top limit, whatever that may be, and then you don't get in danger of going beyond that. And maybe that's you sit down with your banker and you talk about what that could be. You get pre-approved for that number, because in this environment, there is a real danger of going beyond your means. And, you know, the requirements to get a mortgage today are still intact. We didn't get away from some of the things that we did back in 2007, 2008, where there was no money down. There's still money down required. You still have to be a good borrower and have a good credit score, thankfully. So those things are in place, but be cautious, be patient. You know, I know that it's going to take a while. My wife's a realtor, what Tommy has said here too. Be patient. It may take some time, and sit down and have a conversation with your banker or financial advisor.
All right, so Tommy, the people who are going out shopping for the house, what advice do you have for them?
The asking price is just a serving suggestion. I mean, you don't really got to realize it. If it says $250, you're not getting it for $250. That's all there's to it. I mean, so if your budget is $250, you got to start looking down at the 200s and 210s because you're going to have to work yourself up to that.
Manny, different question for you, but in the same vein. If you are someone who's looking to either start a business and build from scratch or looking to expand a business, what advice do you have for them right now?
Yeah, just to play off of Mike and Tommy's comments, I think plan ahead. There are so many moving parts to everything we talked about in the economy, labor, materials, interest rates. It's so much going on that we see our clients have a lot of success regardless of their size, whether it's a startup or a large manufacturer, for example, or office user. They plan ahead and then they reap the benefits at the end. So not a bad time to be looking for space right now. Depending on what you're looking for, there's a surplus of space out there, a lot of options, but planning is key.
All right. Now, I want
Definitely settlerswi.com. Go to our website. All of our profiles, phone numbers, and contact information is there. We'd love to hear from you.
Sounds good. And you hear Mike all the time in our ads as well. So, and Tommy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how do people contact you?
tommytrc.com.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, final segment here on Krause Company. Don't forget, Haley Tenpass is back, and she'll join us for a preview of Focus Fox Valley, and I'll have my 2 cents as well. Be careful what you're singing, folks. That's all coming up on Krause Company. Awesome job, guys. Thank you very much.
Great segment.
That was fun.
Very lively.
Yeah, that was fun. Thanks for your questions.
You bet. Thank you.
I enjoyed that.
Thanks for the good
You didn't
answer.
make anybody cry this segment. That's good.
Caught Tommy not paying attention. Tommy, what?
What? Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, pleasure.
Yeah, Tommy. Great to meet you, man. Good job.
Manny, great to see you, sir. Keep doing great things.
Thank you. You too. This was fun. It's good to be here in person again.
Yeah, it is.
All right, I will do a better job of coordinating our next visit. Okay.
okay.
So
You get
how
both of
does
us on that email?
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
is July a bad month for you guys?
It can work.
There you go. There you go.
It
I
is.
think early July is a little tough.
Yep.
The rest of the month is fine.
Okay.
That first
Hi,
week.
Mom. I'm not dead, I swear.
Yeah, the last week of July, I'm going to be out at EAA for Air Venture, either doing the show there or doing news stuff.
Yeah.
So that week is out, but yeah, I'll be somewhere in the middle of July.
Let us know.
All right, let me get it as soon as possible then, so I'll work on it this week.
Okay.
All right,
Sounds good, man.
thank you
Thanks
again.
Thanks
Yeah,
again.
good
You
work.
bet.
Very good work.
You're okay to walk yourselves out?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks. We'll see ya.
You understand, it's different. There's just so much more at stake. Whether
Whoops,
it's
had
meeting
Manny's
a
mic
client
open
call
yet.
or
We were all
lunch with the
patting
office.
ourselves on the back. Oh, great job, guys.
Did that go live? Did it go out?
Probably did.
That's why there's Easy Cater.
So
Food
4
that's
people
on
on
time
And
and
then,
order. From over
somehow I had the
50
CBS News
restaurants.
pod still on
If there's a
yet,
problem,
right?
there, you
Well,
call someone. In seconds,
I
thanks
think
for
that I need to
choosing
turn on 4 microphones over here,
Doesn't work
and
anymore.
yeah, I only need to turn on
Easy
3
Cater
plus
just
that thing
Order
over there.
24/7
So,
at easycater.com.
The remote.
yep.
Sure,
Okay.
I'm a kid, but I'm smart
So when we
enough to
come
know that
back,
when it comes to home heating
let's
and
grab
cooling,
one of
we
the
always call Better Home Heating and Air
topics
Conditioning
that you had
because
sent
they're the
along
trained
here.
comfort specialists in Mitsubishi Douglas dealer in the Fox Valley.
no idea
Call
where
today
the
and learn
screen
about special
keeps going out on
incentives on Train and Mitsubishi equipment. Plus,
see what we
great
got
rate
here.
and special
Let's see
pricing if you call before May 31st. Better products, better people, Better Home Heating and Air Conditioning, the division of Central Temperature. Visit
Okay, so we want
betterhomeheatingandair.com
to talk
today.
about
We did.
self-repaired. We want to talk about lasers. We could talk about the FAA laser thing since
Sure.
we've been so busy, and that's a good. People need it.
Yeah, fairly short segment here.
People are stupid.
Krause Company is brought to you by Hooper Law Office. Find their offices in Appleton, Green Bay, and Oshkosh, or online at hooperlawoffice.com. For your elder law and estate planning needs, Hooper Law Office, providing a pathway to your legacy. Love having people in studio. It's just super complicated to have a whole bunch of people in studio. My arms aren't long enough to reach everything.
That's it. You're
See?
a great
Just like
quarterback.
that.
You're a great quarterback, and you're right. When you have more people in the office here, and you have to do a lot of traffic copping, but you did good. No sweating. You did very good.
A little bit of sweating. All right, so while we have just a couple of minutes here with Tommy Clifford, Tuesdays with Tommy, you sent along an item here that the Federal Aviation Administration is dealing with an alarmingly high number of laser incidents involving airplanes and helicopters. What's going on there?
Oh my gosh. So, everybody and their mom can get those laser pointers, and they're using them they point them at airplanes and don't realize the damage that they could do to the pilots. They shine it in their eyes, and you think you're at night and you're in this pitch black cockpit, and here comes this blinding laser pointer from the ground. That's horrific. And yeah, the stats from the FAA is just ridiculous. I mean, they, a 41% increase over 2020. So they had over 9,700 reports of laser pointers into aircraft.
And remember, this is happening at very crucial times in the flight, takeoff and landing.
Correct. I mean, that's all hands on deck, if you will, because the pilot, this isn't cruise control or autopilot. This is the pilot's got to, they're, worrying about the flaps and this and that and the ground and the clearance and what's around you. And then they get zapped in the eyeballs. That's just not good. Not good at every level. I mean, we need more common sense. And for some reason, that hasn't come to play here. It really hasn't. And put your laser pointer away. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Put it away.
There are so many things that happen now that, it's a internet trend. I saw it on TikTok, or I saw it on YouTube, or I saw it on Twitter, or whatever. I don't know if there is a group out there that somehow is spreading the word that this is a fun activity, and is there some kind of
TikTok
laser pointer challenge somewhere we don't know?
Stupid things. I mean, my wife gets all kinds of warnings on her, email. Hey, there's this TikTok challenge to hang on the door in the restroom or do something stupid.
Yeah.
But this laser pointer thing, I mean, this isn't a joke. I mean, the FAA says you can face up to 11 grand per violation.
Yep.
So you're just monkeying around, and bad news, bad news. Just don't do it. Just stay away from this kind of activity. It just doesn't make any sense.
And it also mentions here in an article you sent along that to the naked eye, it seems like the beam only goes a couple of feet, a few yards. You're using to point at something on a display or on the wall. It actually goes several miles. That's the nature of a laser.
It's kind of ridiculous when you think about it, how far it can actually go. I used to walk into the middle of the street and see if I could shine it off a stop sign or something, how far away. Wow, I can go a mile down the road. And when you think about the helicopter and how far they really are away, or that plane, they're a lot closer than you think they are.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, just don't use it. Laser pointer for the cats or whatever it happens to be, but keep it out of the air, keep it out of the sky, because that's some real damage and can hurt your pocketbook.
The unfortunate thing is right now it's all, please don't do that. But wait until we have a crash where we can actually prove that it was caused by people pointing lasers. And then there's going to be, well, first off, there'll be a crackdown on the practice around airports. And then it'll lead to just a laser pointer ban.
Oh, right. Exactly. Kind of like buckyballs and long darts. Remember that? Long darts?
Man, jarts were awesome when you were a kid.
So you got one of the noggin. Hey, Jimmy, watch out.
I never got hurt from the pointed end of a jart. Instead, the black handle had this little end cap that kept it on.
Oh, yeah.
But it would get loose. And then as you would throw the jart, the handle would slide up and it would pinch a little bit of your skin on your hand up against the cap.
The pain is
that
real.
would hurt.
I sense it.
That would happen all the time.
Not to mention the fact that if it came down on your noggin, don't want that to happen. I thought that was
We were
great.
smarter than that. We knew how to stay out of the way of the
Didn't
jarts.
need to be
It was
bad.
the handle, the little grip thing. That was what you needed to be aware of.
Oh my goodness.
I also had it was called the punt, pass, and kick machine.
Yes.
And it was a plastic football tied to this mat that you spiked down in the yard.
Yes,
And then you would
that.
throw or kick or punt the football, and it would give you some kind of yardage prediction as to how far it would have gone. Unfortunately, if you threw the football the wrong way, the rope, and it was real rope, would burn your wrist as it was leaving your hand.
Oh no.
Yeah. So you had to be tough to be a kid back in the 70s and early 80s.
When your parents kicked you out of the house, said, find something to do. Here's your bike. Come back before dark.
Yep, the pass, punt, and kick machine. You got these rope burns on your right arm, and it's like, come
with
on.
your friends. Absolutely. Those were the days.
Oh, and then of course you were sad when the rope finally gave way and broke because you couldn't use the punt, pass, and kick machine anymore. Oh my god! Man. All right, enough memories. Let's
More
bring
tears.
in. Yeah, Haley 10 Pass is in to join us to preview what's coming up next on Focus Fox Valley here on WHBY. My 2 cents as well here on Krause Co.
Like it or not, you are a media-consuming machine.
Machine.
All day by headlines, texts, emails, on the TV, the computer, the phone, even your smartwatch. News about market volatility and uncertainty could lead to anxiety and planning paralysis. No surprise, Americans report increased stress about their investment and retirement plans. This isn't a time to be frozen in place. Take action. Put Annex Wealth Management on your side. Build a plan that will help cut through the noise.
Yeah, we're going to keep it fairly short.
I
don't have a super long 2 cents. So.
Let Annex do a deep dive on your portfolio. Offer unbiased advice with Wealth Metric. And work
Had surprise guests today.
Oh,
yeah? Which one?
The Lees from the Lions Club. I put them in Wednesday instead of Tuesday.
Which Lions Club?
The Appleton Noon.
Talking about the 100?
Yeah.
Or online. It's time to take
Mary Beth Nienhaus called me up and
She
said
called me
she's
too.
trying to reach you, but she spoke to me first.
She called me at home.
I ended up having them call me back. And,
It's okay. Different audiences.
It is different audiences, but then again, I wish there was a little disclosure. Hey,
Okay.
we've also reached out to other members of your team. That's just,
Their insurance.
Well, again, it was Mary Beth
You agree
that
to
set
less
it
than you
up.
deserve.
yeah.
Hire me,
Okay.
and I
That's
will
all right.
not let that happen. I
It's
will
not
work
speak for
hard,
me, I think,
and I will
so.
fight hard for you
Darn.
to get a fair settlement.
That had an
Tussler Law,
exclusive.
Ron Tussler, Appleton's award-winning attorney.
The race for Wisconsin.
But it's always a bummer when that
ain't about
happens.
the dumber class with their name on trucks, nor the establishment. Man, they failed us for decades.
Man, I hate candidates who have their
This is
names
about
on
the one who
trucks.
work for a living. Just worry about safe streets and fine groceries. Warrior conservatives. It's about Kevin Nichols.
So if you're running for office, don't put your name on Krause for Congress. Don't put it on a truck.
It's in his gut.
Well, no, he's talking about
The most effective
Tim
conservative
Michaels,
grassroots
who
group
runs
this
Michaels
state has ever seen.
Construction, and you know you see his trucks all over the place with his name on them.
Politics here is a mess. Kevin Nicholson's the one to fix it. Conservatives, rise up. We have a leader.
Fighting for Wisconsin is responsible for the content of this advertising. Paid for by Fighting for Wisconsin, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Finding great
Here's our
candidates to
salary.
hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack.
We've got a
but
lot
not
of campaign
with
ads coming our way in the next
Oh.
couple of months.
technology.
That's all you're gonna hear
We're gonna be
starting
very busy
in
launching
July.
What's worse, COVID ads or campaign
While other
ads?
companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you.
Campaign ads.
Yeah, there's not a lot of
for
COVID
the,
ads.
yeah, for the,
That means you're gonna come in.
the August election.
We're coming into junk mail season.
The good news is it bumps out, you know, ZipRecruiter and Rocket Mortgage and
Do you want to
all of
protect your
those
family?
partner
Do you want
spots.
to maintain control of your
It's
health
gonna
and
be- it's gonna be
finances?
very
Join
heavy.
the attorneys at Hooper Law Office in person.
Oh, an
for
8-minute
the popular
break.
Wills
Okay.
versus Trust seminar. This seminar gives participants the opportunity to ask questions and learn
Well,
about
I
the
only have
aspects
one
of
day
estate
left in
planning and
May
long-term care planning that they're most interested
has
in.
any
The next
availability
session will
in it.
take place
Good.
in person at
It's
2
just
p.m. and
with
6
the Brewer
p.m.
games
on
Yep.
Wednesday, May 11th.
and
at the
a couple of
Neville
live
Museum,
remotes,
located
and
at
I've
2
got-
Museum
How many
Place
Brewer games
in
do you
Quebec.
do?
Registrants
I don't
can
have a
attend either session.
I mean, you'll get
Register
paid.
at estate
Oh, I get
planning
paid.
Green
I have
Bay.
plenty of other things to do. Plenty of other things to do. I'm still here.
We have her clean the bathrooms and sweep up the floor on those days.
Trust me, I have plenty.
She took that over from
Cinderella.
Kathy.
I have plenty to do. I have plenty to do. Well, I run social media for HBY and
Oh,
I
okay.
do all the promotional
Here we go.
Your life, your
things and, yeah.
legacy, nursing homes and long-term care.
I book future guests and
Final segment of a very full Krause & Company today here on WHBY. Haley Tenpass joins us now to tell us what's coming up next on Focus Fox Valley. Welcome back, Haley.
thank you.
All right, so who do we have joining you?
All right, hour number one, a little law talk with Hurling Clark Law Firm headed your way. John Claypool and Adam Bernander will be joining us. We're going to talk a bit about some legal issues under the umbrella of family law. including no fault, temporary orders, child support percentages, the guardian ad litem and the role that plays as well. So a lot of good things. And we're gonna wrap up our hour by talking a little bit, not necessarily about the nitty-gritty details, but the trial at its core, the defamation case between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Again, we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah.
You can go to E! News for that. But
She saw me rolling my eyes like, oh.
We're going to
man.
talk about defamation, though, and what classifies a defamation case, and John Claypool has been involved in a couple of those, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Again, not the nitty-gritty details. You can read about that over on E! News. We're going to talk more about what defamation is and why Johnny Depp is suing Amber Heard. All right, coming up in hour number 2, we're going to talk about mental health with Carlin Andrew, who is the Senior Director of Counseling and Training at the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Fox Valley. We're going to specifically talk about connecting with those teenagers, all right? And that's a really tricky time. I think we can all look back to our teenage years and the emotions that come along with it. So what are some actual techniques that might work in communicating with your teen who is maybe going through some emotional distress, mental health challenges, and we know our youth are dealing with a higher percentage of mental health issues than ever before. So how do we break through with them? How can we help? Carlin will have some insight for us here today. And we'll wrap up the show by giving you details on this weekend's Hmong American Day celebration. Big festival happening in Jones Park this weekend in Appleton. So we'll talk more first and foremost about the celebration of Hmong heritage here in Appleton. We have a growing Hmong population. We'll talk more about how they came to Wisconsin, that story, but also why it's important to celebrate Hmong heritage. May happens to be AAPI month, and we're coming off the heels of Hmong Heritage Month in April as well. So we'll celebrate this weekend. We'll let you know how to do that.
And last week, I think it was Friday, I played the invocation that Alder Tao had for the Appleton Common Council, telling her own personal story of how she came from Laos to Thailand and refugee camps and finally come to America and that type of adjustment. So it's the true American dream for those folks.
Yeah, and we're going to celebrate it this weekend, so we'll get you those details.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Tommy, appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you for having me. The Hmong people are so beautiful. That's awesome. I love my Hmong friends.
Try to have less nightmarish type stories for us.
Oh, it's all puppies
okay?
and rainbows.
Yeah.
I'm here. I've used all my horrible stories. They're
Okay,
done.
thank goodness. We'd rather, the people would rather hear about me and my problems with my garbage disposal.
Thanks for having me.
And the Boston Bruins failing to win games when I'm watching them on TV. But now it is time for my 2 cents, a daily opinion feature here on Krause Co. Educators will tell you that everything they're involved in is a teaching moment, including extracurricular activities. That's why schools do them. Well, the lesson to be learned from a high school prom in Massachusetts 2 weekends ago is to not request popular hip-hop songs at the dance, and if the DJ plays one, don't sing along to the lyrics. Kids at Hamilton Wenham Regional High School saw their junior prom shut down early, and police called in to investigate after some of the attendees were shouting out the lyrics from Caroline by an artist known as Amina.